Your chin. Silver. God, I do it all the time. I always say that.
Solar.
Solar and silver. And we need Solar to change. Just because Silver's been here longer, we need Solar to change his username. Solar, change it. What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Silver doing the Best Gaming Podcast number 582, where we're going to talk about the future of games, past the games. It's going to be pretty random today because, honestly, there was little bits of news, but it's been, I'd say in general, it's been a little quieter than usual, which is nice. Nice, quiet time. Sit back, talk about games, relax. It's been a tiring week, been a long week, so sort of a laid back time. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in, checking out the channel. By the way, thank you to all the new patrons. We actually had an influx of patrons last time, so that was actually very cool to see some new people in here. Yeah, we ended up getting a bunch of people in there jumping in. We actually had like 16 new people in the streams too across the weekend at different times, which was cool. People I hadn't talked to before. It was always nice to sort of get to know them, find out where they're from. Yeah. Got a lot of we still have a lot of truck drivers, but we also have a lot of ex-military now. And then what was the other one somebody mentioned today? They were like, "Oh man, we have I can't remember, but it was an obscure job." Yeah, I'll have to remember. It's obscure enough.
So if we hit an apocalypse,
yeah,
we can
prepared.
do like an ACG militia. We got the infrastructure with the truckers.
Yeah, we got everything we need.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm pretty good at building couch forts too. So like, I think that can directly translate over to real buildings. I think it's actually scientifically proven that translates directly over. I asked everybody how many games they're getting. Let's look at this. So my question was, how many games are you going to get this year? It was 1, 2 to 4. Thought that was fair. 5 to 10, 10 plus. New games can be, really any price, but it's like day one kind of thing. 7% said 1, 35% said 2 to 4, 33% said 5 to 10, and 24% said 10 plus. So that's actually a good amount of games coming in that are brand new. I was actually sort of surprised.
2 to 4 is pretty lean for a whole year.
Yeah, unless, again, the new game thing where they're waiting a week for patches or waiting 2 weeks. That would be my assumption. So
it could also be that people tend to play a single game for a lot of hours or replay it even.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would say when you look at like full price games, I mean, I'm definitely, even if I wasn't a reviewer, I'd probably be 10 plus because there's about one a month I really want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's generally fair.
And we see like indies and cheaper, so it's not like every game is going to be max price.
I'm talking about the full games even. Like what I'm saying is I would be in the 10 plus just for the full games because like almost every month there's something that is like major this year in particular. It feels like
this year has been very good for games already.
Yeah. Feel like sometimes people say a year hasn't been good, and then you'll go back and look and be like,
I was thinking about this because we've consistently had that many years.
Yeah.
And it's always like, this is going to be a crap year. Last year was the greatest. And then we end up having a great year. Like last year was a great year for games. This year so far is a banger as well. And I was remembering this line from The Office where the guy says, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly. I wish there was a way to know we are in the golden days before they're gone or something. Because usually it's only looking back that you're able to sort of see like, it's a great time. Very often we're just kind of thinking about the past.
Yeah. I lived through the destruction of 2 companies, and I remember with Cadiz, we were on a drive doing a job for work, and I told him exactly that. I was like, remember this day. This is golden, and it will go away. You got it. You need to like celebrate the now a little bit. It's very easy to be like, just sort of get in your status quo, and then when that's gone, you're like, damn, I wish it was that time again. Hush Al Ghul says, as an electrician, I would be glad to help you power up the couch fort. Today, a house burned down because 2 idiots decided to power up their couch fort for no reason at all.
Well, if you need someone to write you some Terraform code, or hit me up. I'm sure in the apocalypse you're gonna need to set up some databases or something.
I don't think any
I
couch
got
fort
you
is
covered.
complete without a USB panel and a good, 220 going in there and some Python code running. Maybe not Python. What else do we have? Did we have anything? Is there anything that raises up in your guys' brains as like big news this week? Last week was the price adjustment, right? I think that because I think Johnny and I talked about the giant price increase. Do you have anything to add to that, by the way, Silver? Because you weren't here last week. Did you see those price increases for the PlayStation? Like anything that
I did not.
Okay, so it's almost $1,000 for a PS5 Pro now. They raised the price. It's risen up. It depends on where you are. Obviously, we have Europe, America, Australia. Of course, is going to be like 2,000. I'm just joking, but yeah, it went up pretty hefty in price. We were trying to figure out where gamers are gonna where we're gonna sit for that, because now games used to be a luxury item. Then they sort of went to an entertainment item, which is it overlays with luxury, but luxury to me really does mean you're saving a good amount of money,
right?
And it feels like we're definitely in the time when it'd be easy to ask somebody what they play on, and they're like, just a cell phone, because that's the only, maybe GeForce on the cell phone,
laptop or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Robert says, as a Battlefield player, I've been meaning to play other games, but I've been hooked on BF6. Only multiplayer game I play, and mostly single player gamer. Really want to get into Crimson Desert. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think with regards to the golden days perspective, I think it helps to, especially probably you and I, Carrick, that we've been around for so long that we can remember when the leaner days, where it was just like a couple of big releases,
yep,
in a year or so, that you were really sort of building toward, and then it really, it was probably 7 years ago when Steam really opened the floodgates, and
right?
We got
true.
like 10, and we started getting 10,000 game releases a year.
Yeah,
it was just a staggering number.
Staggering. It just doesn't make sense.
That pretty much since then it's been like constant, and to the extent that you can't possibly keep up with it, even if you are like a full-time YouTube channel that covers like indies, you cannot keep up with just the number of indie games that release every single day these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is definitely the best possible time. I mean, I think we've said this repeatedly. It's the best possible time to be, even with the pricing changes, I think, to be a gamer in terms of just the sheer scope of choice you have for the games that are available. And it's true that there are genres that don't really get made all that much anymore, but they still pop up here and there. They're still catering to niche audiences. Like I do think that the scope of available games is greater than it's ever been.
So that's a good segue into something that popped up recently, which now, admittedly, any indie, you have enough games that whatever I say right now will be proven wrong via the 10,000 games on indie, that come out on Steam. But in general, the discussion popped up that it does feel like the merging of multiple genres in each game. You can sort of see the company saying, okay, a first-person shooter might work if it's par excellence, if you're just like, wow, this is amazing. But one way to sort of get a little bit more is to put some other genre in your game, to like sort of mix the two. And it popped up, if you ignore indies, which I know people would say unfair, but what I'm saying is there's also some serious quality, there's all kinds of issues there. But if you just look at it, I do feel like a lot of developers, even indies, are being forced into the idea that, hey, to sell well, to get on Steam, what's that Steam main page? You have to sell a certain amount, blah, blah, blah. One of the ways to up your chances is to have 2 tags on your game, not just RPG.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like RPG driving. You are hitting 2, and you are just, it really is doubling that size of that audience.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah. You could capture a whole other set
a
of
whole
people.
other set of people. Yeah. Yeah. It's just one of those things that, like, I don't think it's bad or good. It's just, somebody brought it up in chat. We had a huge chat a couple days ago where, like, there was all kinds of things discussed. And that was one of the ones that, like, caused me to sit back and go, yeah, that's definitely something we had noticed years ago, but it's now become prevalent and it's seeped down to everybody. And it just, Steam exploded back in the day after Half-Life, it was forced on you with Half-Life. And you get Steam, you start seeing all these games coming out, and then that, even the success becomes the weakness in a way, where the discovery becomes hard, and then you have to fight the discovery, and then you have to fight those in the discovery, and then you add a third tag. You're like RPG, racing, dating sim. You just start getting this thing, and we're seeing it with so many games. Like, it's definitely becoming
because to your point, I mean, the obvious side effect of so many games coming out is that the market is completely saturated to where visibility becomes the biggest issue for developers.
Yeah, dude, it's been tough for visibility. If you ignore any part of the, like, group of games, AAA, AA, we'll call them, all the rest indie, if you were to just cover one of those groups, it would still be insanely hard. I've missed AAA games before, like, easily missed them, and you guys will be like, this came out. What? When? Like 2 days ago, and just, you're in your little zone, and there's just so many different companies. And then some
a couple of weeks till 007 is out.
I know, dude. I know. It's like Samsung's coming out. You got that. You have Soros. You have Xbox games coming on PlayStation, which just is like people returning to those. And then you have DLCs like you get with Starfield, where people. And then look at Division 2. They're doing so many switches to Division 2. Now I have a bunch of my friends who are just doing that, and they're probably going to miss a lot of these, or not miss, it's not a bad thing, but just not play them for a while. Let's see. Scotty says, GTA, Crimson Desert are probably the rest of my year, unless Fire Emblem drops. Oh, okay. That's fair. As Battlefield Red, that stated.
If we do get a new Fire Emblem, I really hope it's better than the last one. The last one was one of the biggest disappointments I've played in a long, long time.
Was that 5 houses?
No. With some, I even forget what it's called.
Wasn't it Go or something?
Go? You mean like
had
Hitman
something like
Go?
that in the name?
Oh, gotcha. Or do you mean Go like GAUX?
I think it was Engage, wasn't it?
Engage.
Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm sorry, that's not good. I don't like
but
that
it
name.
sounds similar,
like
It.
Yeah, Engage is like that's like, oh, your mobile gacha game. Do you ever feel like you're not able to fully appreciate a game because of the amount of games that you all do, games or reviews? I don't. I play less games now than I did prior to reviewing, but like, I get my time. In fact, I would say I plumb the hell out of my games. Like, I plumb my games. I don't have that issue yet. I have issues finding them, like we just discussed, but I do not have issues with like anything else. And I certainly don't have issues with enjoying them. In fact, I would say I sometimes wish I enjoyed them less, because if I do find a game, then you have to, at some point, that's your job. You need to cover the next thing. To give you an example, every monthly video is a battle for me. Always, because I'm playing a game when it comes out. You've had 15 days of games.
Right.
And by the 15th, I'm like, I got to release before game. What are they called? One of the websites that does the top games of next month. They're another one. And they just eat your views. If you post 5 days late, it doesn't matter. Like, they eat all the views. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it early. And I'm inevitably playing a game. But what about you guys? Like, just
I think it definitely has for my part.
Do you think it's time and life getting in the way?
Not so much. It is just, I think, a product of how many games are there where there's a constant sense of missing out.
Gotcha.
I guess. And to an extent, sometimes there's a certain internal pressure to maybe not finish a game and move on to something else because I do want to try the other stuff.
Yeah.
Just because there is so much. That even though I'm enjoying a game and maybe invested in it, then there's this other game that offers a completely different experience that maybe I feel drawn toward.
Fair.
That I really want to go to. So I think that's there for sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess sometimes. What about you, Johnny?
I feel that same thing, but I don't really view it as a negative because the way that I frame enjoying a game doesn't require me to like finish
No,
it.
no, that's fair.
But I know like Silver, you're more of a completionist than I am. You know, you like to get your stuff done and like, you know, clear stuff up. For me, I'm much more like uh just playing while it's really fun and engaging for me, and I'm okay dropping games, just like dropping a book. I've become comfortable with doing that because there were times where I forced myself to play or to read a book I wasn't enjoying, and then that actually hurt my hobby overall. You know, because just like the overall enjoyment was lower. So that's what I would say. But having so many options, I think, is just a positive because you can always jump to something you're excited about.
Yeah, if I didn't like a game in the past, jumping was much more difficult because there might not have been something that I could play. Free to play games didn't exist in the way they do now. Cheaper games did exist, but they usually were directly related to quality, like true quality. You know, true quality. If you saw a cheap game, you were like, "There's a reason why the game is cheap." Of course, there were bargain bins. I was lucky enough to have rental, so you know at that time. Well, there's still GameFly still exists, and you know there's obviously Game Pass and stuff. But yeah, I definitely, I would say back in the past it was harder. I don't get FOMO ever. Like when you guys are telling me about a good game, I have my brain wish list, I guess, and I'm like, okay, that's noted. That sounds like that could be something. But I guess I feel like there's so many good games that if I were to start getting FOMO, I would just have an unlimited FOMO because there's unlimited games I want to play. So if that went away, it would be a problem. But like when you guys tell me about a good game, I definitely note it. Like, and that's why, you know, like when you guys mention something random, you know, I'm noting that, but the idea of going to run to play it is not equal to the noting of it. I'll be like, okay, noted, but it doesn't mean I'm running off to grab it because I would be doing that all the time. Right.
Yeah, no,
like,
same. I mean, it's the same with me.
Yeah.
Because I get recommendations all the time for games, for movies, for shows, books. And obviously I can't do it all at once. So
Mine you can do. If I suggest a show.
Drop everything.
You should have two lists. Shows everybody else tells you about and shows Carrick tells you about. Scott, what's up? Thanks for the super chat, $10. Warhorse Studios is supposedly making a Middle-earth game. I think that could be a killer combo. Yeah, so do I. And also, if you guys remember, their main creator, I guess, has sort of shifted his part of the, like, somehow there was a split there, his part of the company. He's doing movies / TV shows in that.
He hasn't. He's just shifted his role, to the movies. He hasn't like left the company or anything.
Correct. And so he won't be doing anything on the game side for a while, at least from what he said. So yeah. So we'll have to see. I think Middle Earth would be. Yeah, I mean, dude, the world that they already made.
I don't believe that rumor personally.
You don't because of the IP or what?
Yeah, the IP and it just doesn't really ring with what that studio has done previously.
You don't think like the Euro Middle Earth dirtiness of those games sort of translate to Middle Earth? Like a Middle Earth style game?
I mean, they probably could, but they haven't been in touch with anything that studio has done before. Like,
true.
Like, I mean, a lot of them used to be 2K Czech.
Yeah.
They used to be Illusion Softworks, which did the original Mafia.
Sorry, dogs.
Hidden and Dangerous, Hidden and Dangerous 2. All of these were sort of games, somewhat historical period pieces that were centered around like realism and immersion. And I don't necessarily see Middle Earth fitting into that scope. That seems to be it's been like the vision of their production over the years. And I mean they could move away from that, but I don't really see anything that leans me towards thinking that they are.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fair thought process. I mean, I see the Euro dirty
Also, these rumors pop
location
up all the time as
fitting
well
it, but
online. So.
yeah. I see the dirty location fitting it, but I also do see that like that small world also wouldn't be good for Lord of the Rings. You'd want a bigger location as well. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And it is just a rumor. And yeah, the rumors, especially for Lord of the Rings, which is why I was asking about the IP thing, because the IP of Lord of the Rings is all over the place. And so you never quite know how much it would cost or who can even make games in it, and who you have to, do you have to do canon? How do you do that in what you want to make, which is very difficult, especially Lord of the Rings, very difficult. You have to fit it in certain time frames and stuff like that. So
even just the world itself, if you were to build like large parts of that world, including big locations like Minas Tirith and stuff, would be pretty, a big challenge.
Yeah. And then somebody was asking us if we had heard about the State of Decay stuff. Yeah, so State of Decay, sort of not much ado about nothing. That's not to diss on them. It's just the reality of it. But basically, they're announcing that the community is going to help them with the alpha. You click on it, you fill out a little bit of data, and really what it is just a join our Discord kind of thing. So I joined it thinking it was going to be like more. And to their credit, you do fill out, you put a couple words into a form and it goes, but it really is just sort of getting more people in their Discord.
Like registering interest.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. When I clicked it, I was like, oh, it's one of those. Because we see that with so many game developers now. They make their own Discord, which aptly so they should. But it didn't feel as far along as I thought. I was like, oh, all right, we'll see where this goes and who gets in. But they also did say something about State of Decay. Well, they hinted. They showed a tiny bit of footage of the older games and maybe some of the newer, but they did say that it's going to revolve around a lot more combat. And I got to say, that did not appeal to me. Now, that doesn't mean anything. I'll still check it out. But I'm saying as a tag word, the idea of more combat in that game versus the systems that maybe have been removed in 2 that were in 1, and some of the simulation stuff that I would like to see to make it feel like a different game other than the thousands of zombie games we have now that are based on combat. What I would like to see them do is fix the combat, though. So more combat, maybe not. Fixed, smoother, I would definitely be for. Sorry, my dog has lost his mind for some reason. I can't tell if it's the...
We couldn't hear it, actually.
Oh, okay, good. But what do you guys think of that? Are you guys like, are you guys tracking State of Decay at all, or?
So that's one of the things I saw, the lots of combat that was like stressed. So not sure how I feel about that. Like you, the parts I liked most about that game were more the co-op and kind of like risk assessment kind of stuff. Base building was really fun. They did mention base building is going to be really prominent in the game, so that's cool.
Dude, I missed that.
But yeah, I think
that's cool. I missed that.
Yeah. I think for me, like the combat wasn't the main draw of the game. What I liked was the feeling of
he's so mad. He's so mad that I picked him up. Man, he's just like, dude, don't do that.
He doesn't like it.
Yeah, I don't think, not that time. Anyway, continue. Base building.
So I'm trying to think of like whether the idea of a lot of combat is what gives me that feeling of threat. Because what I felt like is that I could lose my stuff. So there was an element there of like maybe losing something you built or something you had found or picked up. And that was kind of the feeling that I had that I enjoyed, where you kind of you felt like you had to be careful. And when you went out on a raid, you needed to kind of plan it out a little bit. Like, am I going to have the right ammo or the right tools for this?
Yeah, that's fair.
What I would really like is more options, like the ability to maybe turn off enemy variations so that you just have zombie hordes or something. Because that was honestly one of my main issues with State of Decay, was that the zombie variations ended up annoying me more than they did sort of helping me or helping the gameplay or adding tension to the game, where like the bullet sponges and stuff, just it wasn't necessarily difficult. It was just tedious. to deal with, where I much prefer the tension of like having to deal with like a zombie horde. That, oh, this is something that's going to take a lot of ammunition and resources from me to take care of, or can I actually steer through it and navigate through it, and stuff like that. And that gave me a host of options to deal with that threat potentially, that were fun and engaging to deal with, and that you could solve in potentially creative ways. Where I found that the variations like the hunter and the bloater or whatever it's called, I forget what they were called. They didn't really offer that to me, and so I got bored of those really quickly, and I really felt like the game was missing the option to like turn those variations off in the menu, which is something I think would really, really help the game, for me, certainly.
Yeah, I actually like I don't know about turning it off. I'm not saying I don't agree. I'm saying I don't know how this would be done. I sort of also like the just humans as zombies, and not, once you start getting a giant zombie, you're like, what happened to this guy versus all the other guys, right? Like, why is this guy? And then I like the idea of many versus, especially for zombies, I like the idea of many versus really a change up. I like, because you happen to move around and the crowd control that exists. But again, their combat is pretty jank. So even though I like that, it's never been great anyway. But then when you did face the big guys, they stopped the cars, if I remember right. If you tried to hit them, I'd love to see physics where maybe you could still knock them down, but it would damage the car. I could be wrong on that. It's been a long time since I played 2, but I feel like 2 in particular, maybe I need to go faster, but I feel like they just absolutely stopped the car. So there were times where some of the tools just stopped being useful. That's a part of gameplay. So I don't want them to listen to me. That's just, I would like to see how that would feel. Yeah, it'd be cool to see if they do some options. I'd love to have more options in a lot of these games. I mean, Crimson Desert pops up, for a lot of people when it comes to the discussion about options too. So I get it. Let's see. In the last 5-ish years, what's been the most excited you were to play a new IP?
Maybe Death Stranding, but
I
mean, Death Stranding 1 is really older than 5 years, so
true. Yeah.
So that doesn't really count.
Yeah, man, that's a good question.
Yeah, Elden Ring. Does that count as a new
IP? It does.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll count both of those technically. Like they're in this gen, they're in the 4 or 5 gen. I think it's fair. You just count them.
I mean, Elden Ring was also the last 5 years, so for sure.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that one is actually newer. Robert says Cyberpunk for ACG for sure. Well, definitely. Cyberpunk would have started. It was actually for a while like pretty high up.
Cyberpunk also wasn't anymore within the last 5 years.
Yeah, we're gonna go to 10 though because like Death Stranding.
Yeah.
I think anything PS4 or PS5 is fine.
Death Stranding wasn't ahead of time. That was only when I actually started to play it.
Man, I can't think of one I've been like, man. I've been more surprised than had excitement met. And that doesn't mean the games weren't good when I played them if I was looking forward to them generally. But I'm trying to think of a new IP for these gens that like really, I'm very excited from a world building aspect for GTA 6. I just very excited to see the tech. I love that. You could say Red Dead 2 maybe because it's 2018, but the stuff we were seeing.
That also wasn't really a new IP because that goes back to Red Dead 1,
quick kibosh on all my answers, goddammit. I've already had to change my answer 3 times.
Okay, what about Starfield? People are saying Starfield.
That's a new IP. Yeah. I think that would count.
For you guys or for me?
I think I was pretty excited.
Yeah, but I'm trying. I haven't even got one out yet. You guys have already given answers. Each time I try to give an answer,
I'm like
fucking killing me.
Projecting and seeing if for you like that was a big one.
No, I was very. I mean, I'm very interested, but I'm not like. I mean, I really was gonna say Ghost in a way, but I think a lot of mine is tech based. Like, how are they gonna take what we've played 100 times before and like make something whatever? GTA, Yeah. Maybe I don't. I don't think that way. I'm more into just being surprised. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like all these games that I've loved the games that are big, Crimson Desert, that kind of stuff where people talk about it, but I've also gravitated. I mean, there's just been hundreds that I've played where I'm like, man, I just did not think this was gonna grab me, and yet I wasn't thinking forward to it, and it just popped up, and you're like, holy shit, this is a blast. It's like something I didn't expect.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I have an answer. Yeah, I don't. That's weird that I don't have an answer, but yeah, I don't get like that very often. And like Silver did mention, though, 90% of the big games are sequels, right? Or split,
Or
side stories.
Sequels, that or adaptations of other media IPs, or
Yeah, right, exactly. Like a Lord of the Rings or like whatever, yeah. So
Yeah,
it could be, oh, hey, Servant Berserker Zero, I think a lot of people, not me, but I definitely know people in our Discord were excited for Helldivers 2. Now it's 2, it's not 1.
Yeah, that's also not,
I know.
not a new IP,
I know. I'm listening. I'm listening. Yeah, but I'm going to give that to people because that did also change the entire format of the game. But again, it just goes to show you, right?
I mean, I was also
Just how
super
easy.
excited for World of Assassination and Hitman. But,
Me too. Would Witcher 3 count as new IP as it's a book series? Adaptation for sure.
It's also a sequel to the previous 2 games that they made. Yeah.
People seem to agree about the human enemies in State of Decay. So about like maybe getting away a little bit from the specialized enemies in that game. That was interesting because I didn't know how that'd go over. You never quite know. Like if people be like, "That's what I love." I'm sure somebody out there loves it the most.
It's also just so lazy to me because it's every zombie game that has those variations of enemies, going back to Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
You
Those
have, like,
same archetypes, right?
You have the stealth type hunter, whatever, that
Yeah.
stalks you, and then you have the big massive bloater type thing, and then the spitter or whatever, which is like the screamer, I think, in like in State of Decay. Like it shows a lack of imagination, I feel like, to an extent, and I mean, obviously there's a limit to what you can do within the zombie genre, so I get that, but it feels rote at this point.
Agreed.
Ghost, Wire, Ghoul. Excited for Saros after how much Returnal surprised me. I am also. I think the idea of changing how they handle the difficulty is really exciting because difficulty and accessibility being generally different or at different levels, it seems like they've made it more accessible, but still there's a difficulty curve there that may exist in a different way, but it might be something to where you can build up some skills and not feel like, what the hell, which a lot of people felt in Returnal.
Yeah.
I think the world looks awesome in that. I love the idea of a world changing, the eclipse changing the world. I love that kind of stuff. I'm always a day-night cycle kind of fan, and if things get worse at night, doubly excited for that.
The sort of duality
and it
of
looks
levels.
awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks absolutely sweet. Deathloop. I was excited for that. I mean, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just joking.
I never got that. Some people really loved it, by the way.
Well, yeah. I mean, some people like feet. Dude, we had this discussion.
Always a valid argument to bring up.
Let me bring something up to you though. A couple days ago, it was weird. Is this just social media now? Have we always done this? And it's completely possible we've always done this as a protectionist thing for our own opinions. I said, I'm not going to say who. I was talking to a person. They're in our chat right now. They'll know maybe. They were streaming a game, and I was like, super excited to watch a stream. Love this game. And they went off for like 3 paragraphs about how some random other person dislikes it that they saw a random video from. And I was like, but that's not what there's always going to be that. Like, there's no, who cares? Like, that's not what why do we have to inject the positive in a negative thing? Like, if I say, I dislike that CDPR lied about something, it doesn't, we don't have to say it got better. Because at that point, we're talking in that framework. But I think it must just be a social media thing where there's that protectionist moment where you're sort of preparing for the person who will pop in for no reason and tell you they didn't play the game and here's why I didn't like it. And you're like, but you didn't play it. Why are you in the conversation? If you didn't play the game, like, you don't have much to add to anything other than the business tactics, maybe, of the company and that kind of stuff. But it was just an odd thing to hear. And it's like, yeah, some people, I'm sure some people liked Alekine's gun, Johnny.
It's almost like injecting caveats
into everything.
So into everything.
Spanky Steve.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is the reactionary of nature of social
I think
media.
so too. I think so too. Not dissing on anybody who's ever done it in here, or Johnny, or any of us. It just, we see it happen all the. It's something
also
you notice.
Because the engagement of social media is so immediate. I mean, in the old days, you had to like either pick up like a landline phone, you had to sit down and write out a letter, or whatever. Whereas now you can just like pick up your phone or open your message app or whatever, and just type it immediately and just put it out immediately. There's no filter at all.
I almost never put 2 parts to a Twitter, because by the time the second part is done, somebody's responding to the first part. And if you don't like say second part coming, so don't respond yet or whatever, and that's still not going to stop people, you'll have somebody on Twitter like having a shit fit. Spanky Steve, $2 super chat. Thank you as always for the super chats. Anyone play the demo for Outbound? Looks fun. Let me look at Outbound here. Outbound. Let me see if I. Oh, dude, yeah. So that's the cozy. We talked about this in the last podcast. I think that's the cozy, like Winnebago game or whatever. You know, where I dig the idea. Saw some previews of it. I think I'll probably end up playing it. I really do think that looks awesome. So,
yeah, this kind of goes back to that theme of merging genres, where you kind of take the cozy with the driving kind of thing.
The driving. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes something a little bit unique.
Yeah, cozy normally is not something I seek out, but if they mix it, I'm more of the paranormal mix. So Pacific Drive versus Outbound, but Outbound's got a cool color palette, sort of like the pastel kind of thing, and very soft, nothing contrasty in that game at all. There's not a single contrasted color in that game. It's all very like, it's just very soft, and in a way it reminds me a little bit of the original Life is Strange, those kind of like softer colors and stuff like that. And that's always good, especially if you're translating from some other game like Helldivers 2, which is all about, big flashy things and contrasting colors. Yeah, good question. And it looks like some people have played it. So let's see. I'm really looking forward to Blood of the Dawnwalker. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know when it's coming out?
We don't know anything about it, really. That's why I said, I mean, what I've seen, what I've got prepared for a preview was even difficult, because there's just, even with what they've talked about, a lot of it's retread, because they're early. So I love the idea of it, though. Like that. I'm the same thing with Hunter the Reckoning. I'm a World of Darkness fan. So like Hunter, that's like one of my favorite parts of the World of Darkness universe, but we don't really know much about it, Like it's, how we used to, I don't know, man. It feels like if one company does an early trailer, we're like, hey, oh, that sucks. You got an early trailer. There's not much data in it. I hate this company. And then some companies will do an early trailer and we don't seem to care. I don't know if that's just luck of the draw and us hating certain companies, but some companies will do a CGI trailer or whatever, maybe a pseudo action trailer, and they're fine, nobody complains, and then somebody else will do it and you'll be like, oh my god, it's all CGI, there's nothing. And by the way, when I say people, I mean me. Like, I will do that. I don't, and I'm not quite sure why. It'd be a fascinating way to figure it out. I just did it a couple days ago. I was like, I don't like it, and then I saw they mentioned Bloodwalker, and a lot of that's been basically, like sort of the CGI or snippets. Not all CGI.
I guess if the setting really grabs you, then you're kind of okay with it, or at least you're open to like, being interested in it.
Yeah. What were we gonna say, Silver?
I think also probably they're also just less relevant today than they've probably ever been, just because they get
very much so.
There's so much media noise now. I mean, 40K, Warhammer Total War 40K got announced a couple of months ago, and there's been radio silence ever since. And there's been so much else that it's just sort of been drowned out in the noise now, even though people were and still are incredibly hyped by it. Like there's basically no conversation about it anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Very little. Leading up to whenever they release new information. So I think it's more difficult to sustain that hype now than it's ever been. Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But
Especially
to that point, I think they are less relevant now than they've ever been because it is that much more difficult to sort of maintain that hype that you get from that initial reveal.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a significant challenge for a lot of these companies when they do an early reveal like that.
Did you guys see that MechWarrior, the developer, facing pretty serious cuts? That sort of sucks.
No, but I'm sadly not surprised. And yeah, it sucks a lot.
It does. They do DLC, and as Rogerio posted in our Discord, he's like, "Listen, they did DLC, but there was just no PR for it." I believe I got asked if I wanted to cover the first DLC. I know I did. I know I did have somebody reach out to me, and I was busy at the time or whatever. But I did see that. But I don't think I saw any of the other stuff or PR even on patches. And in today's day and age, you sort of need to do that. It sucks that that's a part of the game, but you really need some eyes on it. And DLC, guys, I swear to you, man, DLC is so weird. Some of this DLC we've got for games in the last 10 years has been incredible. Some of the best DLC I've seen since expansions, back in the day. And they still just don't.
Better in some cases.
Yeah. And they just don't have the PR. You'll see these amazing DLCs. You're like, holy shit. And then you really look at like how much, like coverage they get. And it's just low. Even if a magazine might cover it or a YouTuber might say, hey, this is a thing. You don't really see that continued, like a streamer. You don't see those PR companies reaching out to any of the guys. It's always the big new game. And it's like, that's great and everything. But if we look at how a DLC can resell a game, look at how Fallout exploded because of a TV show. Not even a game.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, there's obviously people waiting on buying your game. There's new people coming into gaming all the time. There's new money. Technically, I know that the industry's facing issues, but new people are, coming of age to play a game all the time. They might want to play your game, but it feels like DLCs are left in the mud. Atlantis, one of the biggest, best DLCs for, what was that, Odyssey. Most Assassin's Creeds have great DLC, and you just don't see much other than the occasional. I'll get a PR email usually that says, do you want to play it? But it's not ahead of time either, which also sucks. It's much harder to play DLC in a time frame than it is the full game, especially because those bastards keep fucking putting it in the middle of the game. And if you're doing an N+, or if it's a different platform, you're like, I don't want to do all this over again.
I think also for the creators, it just doesn't garner that much viewership because the attention is, even for games that were like very visible, like Lies of P, when they got the DLC, for example, not a lot of people covered it. And I noticed even the people who did a review or something got very little viewership, even though the perception would be that people are interested in stuff, but you just don't see like action on it too much.
But I mean, it wouldn't matter if a person was playing, a cornfield shit. They're going to get a shit ton of views if it's like Co-Carnage. It doesn't matter. I've seen him play the, little tiny itsy bitsy baby games, or he doesn't even say what game he's playing. He's like, we're going to bounce around games, and he's still got a ton of viewers. Like, you could even, if you're a PR, smartly do that. Be like, hey, listen, we don't want you to focus the entire video on this, but obviously your sort of buffet streams do well. So can you put us in there somewhere and maybe get some talk on that? It doesn't happen. And I mean, you can't get any if you never try. And it feels like we're at the never try stage. Let's see. Topical. Pearl Abyss CEO said he would rather make the base game better than farm money from DLC. Well, that might sound good until you think about it. DLC is sold at a great deal less and requires a ton of resources to do and make and separate from the main game. Main game, you slightly improve it, $60. So it sounds like a really like pro-consumer thing. It sounds like, oh, okay, look at us. We're going to improve the main game. And you're like, especially.
I think it's also like the framing is kind of
that's what I
poisoning the
mean.
well.
Yeah.
Because when you say like farming money from the DLC, you're already putting it in such a negative frame.
Oh, true. I hadn't thought about that. I guess he did.
Right?
Yeah. Not
because a lot of
dissing on you,
people
I'm just saying,
enjoy.
I guess he did.
Yeah. A lot of people do enjoy those, but I think you're right that the PR is not there. We don't see it being pushed, and then that also ends up in people not knowing about it enough, not being curious. Why should I jump back into this game? What's in the DLC that's interesting? And oftentimes it's just like, boom, DLC out. We don't see a ton.
I'll take a note of this. All good thoughts. So if anybody has more thoughts, put them in chat. I'll take a note of it because I do talk to the people who are like, sort of trying to figure out the future. That's why we put the future games when it comes to tech, coverage, eyes on, discovery. And I do, luckily enough, exist in a couple Discords as well as one big Slack where there are people in there. And I'll sort of ask like where the money, like are their thought processes for that? Because, I mean, even one big streamer saying, hey, here's some DLC. Because Fortnite and stuff will get it, but that's because it's Fortnite. Roblox will get it because it's Roblox. But these other games, I say smaller, and I'm talking about like an Assassin's Creed game that sold
massive
like
games.
19 billion or something. I don't know. Let's see. Nintendo losing to Power World was funny. I don't know about that. Haven't heard it. Nintendo's patents were rejected. Okay. Did y'all watch or listen to the 5-hour Jeff Kaplan interview? No. I don't know who Jeff Kaplan is.
No.
Who's Jeff Kaplan? Let me look it up.
Admitting my ignorance on that as well.
Name rings a bell, but I can't place it.
Founded game developer.
I can't even read that. You go Kitsuguyami.
I cannot. I'm not having a crack.
Vice President of Blizzard. No, I didn't even hear that there was an interview. That's cool. Might check it out. Depends on the interview structure. Wait, or is this the guy, or is this the old one? Maybe he's talking about the old one with Lex Friedman, because I realized I did watch the old one with Lex Friedman. If you're talking about the old one that was like last month, I watched that. Yeah. A lot of it was, I'm not going to throw shade. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a good interview. You should watch it. Make your own opinions of what you hear. People are leaky, though. People are leaky. 5 hours in a podcast, things start like recursively going back and changing little bits that you said at the starting. I'm always like a police detective. I'm like listening to the starting, making mental notes and waiting till the end. And I'm like, sort of adjusts. I will say this, history of fucking failure on that guy's part, man. Man, he's got like good successes, but holy shit, he's got a lot of failures, man. It's like, sometimes it makes you wonder how many failures and successes you have, like, and you ask for money. What the person you're asking for is thinking of, are they thinking of the major success or the 4 failures you've had in leadership that you've admitted to? Like, it's very difficult to know what somebody's going to take, when you go and you say, I want to do this and stuff like that. Yeah. They're always very interesting interviews. So if that's the one you meant, I did get to see it. Sorry. It sounded like you meant like in the last couple of days. I forgot that was his name too. But there's been a lot of interviews lately. Dan Stapleton, not Dan Stapleton, that's IGN. Dan, the guy from GTA.
From GTA.
Yeah, but anyway, he did a great one. Yes, thank you, Dan Hauser. Yeah. Boy, if that's not the opposite ends of talent, I don't know what is. I could have just said Doink the Clown. Anyway, he did a really good Lex podcast as well. So if you guys get a chance to suss that out and find it, Lex does really good interviews. I mean, he's a weirdo, but I like that he just lets the person go.
Actually, just saw probably the best interview I've seen with well, it wasn't really an interview, but a video with Hideo Kojima from Wired, like one of their support videos where he just answers questions from a box, and they were actually pretty decent questions.
That's cool.
But it was honestly one of the best like answer sessions or whatever you want to call it I've seen from him.
That's very cool.
About game development and stuff. Yeah, it was interesting.
We'll move on from there for a little bit. Let's discuss the future. So, handhelds supposedly coming from console makers. Not supposedly. We know they're working on them. slightly different tacks and plans between these. And then you have the Switch 2, obviously, as that sort of the handheld leader. What do you guys think an expensive handheld from a console maker like Sony or Xbox need to really like knock it out of the park? What's something that you maybe don't feel is a failure, but if they mentioned it, it would be like, what? Like, is there something in a new handheld that would make you really maybe not excited, but feel like, hey, there's a chance somebody can enter this Nintendo sort of dominated thing? Especially because, remember, it's not going to be the primary console where Nintendo, you can dock it, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a side console. Go ahead.
If they're gonna get anywhere near Nintendo, they cannot cater to the hardcore gaming crowd.
I firmly agree. I mean, at least in tech, it's got to be pretty good. But when it comes to like how they market it, there's 12,000% more casual gamers or mid-line gamers than there are hard tech heads like myself. Yeah. Bloodborne didn't take long. For somebody mentioned Bloodborne. Yeah, I would agree with.
I mean, unfortunately, the answer would be no, because that would be catering to the hardcore gamer crowd, I think.
Bloodborne.
Casual mainstream audiences have no idea what Bloodborne is.
That's true. That is very true.
Mm.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that angle. That does make a lot of sense, though. I was thinking more that it was just going to be, you're going to have access to your existing library of Sony, like PlayStation games, and then maybe also do the stream thing where you can stream from your console. So you kind of get that as well added in there, because I know that was a big feature for people where maybe the TV is busy, the kids are on the TV, but you want to play your game elsewhere in the house, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I agree on the idea that it has to be, this is going to sound really weird, but bear with me. It's going to have to be pretty generic. It's going to the point to where, like, for example, Bloodborne, that's a filter, and it's a massive, tight filter for a very specific number of people. So that's not as nearly as, like, it might get your first buyers, but it's not going to get that explosive number we've seen, from like a Nintendo or even a console that sells a bunch. You do need, I don't even really think they need games. I was really talking more, what I mean by that is they've got games coming, a lot of service games still, which, may work on a handheld. I don't know. But I think the handheld needs to somehow offer this ability to not feel like you're playing on a handheld in performance a great deal of the time, where you need
maybe as an integrated kind of media platform or something as well.
Oh, dude, yeah. See, like, that's the other thing with these handhelds. They do cater not only in their tech and their discussion, but they cater to their limitations of a ton of shit. Like you see these other handhelds, even if it's a phone. Bear with me, I know they're not the same thing, but able to do YouTube and a Lex Friedman podcast. And then you get these handhelds that are like, oh, no. We do this very specific thing that, only caters to like this kind. And I feel like most of these handhelds have been that way. And Nintendo's way of doing it removes the hardware part. It's never as advanced, but you're able to dock it and go handheld, which is a big deal. That's one of its major pluses. There is no, it's the same device. They can't do that. But they do need the generic audience, for sure.
Because it's just, I think the main hurdle you have to overcome if you're going to take on Nintendo is they have such a huge advantage with the brand recognition being so Disneyfied, or however you want to call it, already, where people associate Nintendo with that kind of thing.
Yeah,
they associate Nintendo with family values or however you want to frame it. And so when they are looking for like a gaming platform to start their kids on or whatever, Nintendo is what they tend to gravitate towards as a gaming platform.
Yeah.
And that's the hurdle that you're gonna have to overcome and go, no, we can also get into that market. We can also chip away at that sense that, oh, we're family friendly, we're building games towards that end, and and options toward that end. Like that's also and Nintendo has built that through weird ideas and projects like Labo, whatever, stuff that looks crazy, but all helps to tie into that whole perception and brand recognition that they have.
I think both have an uphill battle for two other reasons too. One, obviously price, and like that's an issue. That's your biggest issue because it also impacts your performance. And then performance battery life. Like, I don't care if the system is a PlayStation 10. If I can only play it for 10 minutes, that is going to be an issue. That's nobody's fault. That's just the way batteries are right now. And it is definitely a difficulty when you say, hey, here's a handheld device that you can go on a train with. And you're like, yeah, but my train ride is 45 minutes and this plays for 12. Right? That's obviously hyperbole, but you get my drift. And that does happen. I don't think power is near as important. It's important, but not near as important as like making it as seamless as humanly possible for the gamer. They turn it on, push a button, they're playing their PlayStation game right on the device. Number two, don't abandon it. Sony sucks. Sony abandons the shit out of stuff. And like, I like them. And when I mean abandon, I don't mean that they like just stop completely. It's probably the wrong word on my part then, but their support goes slim the moment they find out like that their hardcore is not driving the others. We've seen it, whether it be PSVR or whether it be the Portal. Luckily with the Portal, we've had 1 or 2 patches, but you're just looking at the device going like, damn, it wasn't even supported day one because it wasn't a great device for what it even needed to do. I mean, it's got a terrible media chip in there. You're just looking at it going like, who put this together? And it was expensive too. By far the most comfortable fucking handheld in the universe, though, because it was a controller with a screen on it. But these new systems have to figure it out. They have to figure out how to make it seamless so a person can play. They can just sit down and play Skyrim without worrying about the battery. This is a thing Rory, and I know Johnny's heard him talk about this, but he talks about performance and battery anxiety in EVs and how a lot of people won't get an EV because they're worried about the distance they may go versus the distance they'll ever in a million years go. And so they'll panic. They'll be like, well, there's no EV stations or not nearly as many as there are gas stations, and how the consumer real true fear is a big deal. And I think with Sony, my fear is they won't support it. Microsoft, same. Microsoft's only reason why I'm less worried is because Microsoft is going OEM. So they're using others to make so that support is like sort of built out in a different way.
Built in. Yeah,
but
or built out.
Yeah, built in or built out. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, for me, it would be like the ability to be as seamless as possible. More seamless, like Android, for instance. I can put the 2 Android devices. I'm sure iPhone does this. You hit one button. This is my new phone. 5 minutes later, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, you come back. New phone just works, right? It's like, this is your new phone. I want that handheld to be like, do you want to play the game locally? Do you want to play it streaming? Yes, no. It just works, sort of like Steam, where you can hit play locally, but if you have another PC, you can stream from one device to the other. Sign-ins. They got to fix sign-ins. Get rid of this, whatever this 2-factor bullshit fucking Tron-like crap that pops up when you try to sign into a PSN network. And it's like, there's 5 people on a train. What is the birthday of the guy in the 3rd row? And you're like, what the fuck? That's not even, the data's not even there. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, I think Johnny and I talked about this. I don't know about you, Silver. There are times where I'm 100% sure I failed and it'll let me in anyway because it's just training AI, where it's already been like, this is the right password. This person attempted a couple times and we're trying to train our AI, so we'll just let him in. Amazon Developer Portal is known for that, by the way. That is for sure happening on the Amazon portal. We've recorded it taking the wrong code after a couple attempts. Or sorry, the right code. It's for sure the right code, and it'll say wrong.
I swear I've been wrong in those where like you have to find the,
Yeah,
semaphore.
That's just weird. So that kind of stuff, right? Like that ability for a person to stream to their Sony TV or TVs as a whole, to push a button, stream, and make it an ecosystem that the hardcore doesn't have to support for fucking 6 months before the most basic of apps. And this is when the cost has gone up, but performance hasn't. It's never happened in history, really, in the gaming.
Shopping cart.
Or include a shopping cart. Yeah, thank you, Epic. I think the big thing is like it needs to. The price has gone up. The delta between the performance has not. It's the first time really where we look at this and go, oh, the price went up, but there's nothing commensurate performance-wise. Like, it's the same performance curve, and the price curve is way up here. So what do you do to make somebody buy your shit? You make it work day one and not feel like you're early access kickstartering a fucking billion-dollar company. Like, I'm not going to kickstart Sony. I'm not going to kickstart Nintendo or Microsoft. But they have notoriously treated all of their extra devices as Kickstarter devices. The ROG Ally X, or whatever the fuck it's called, that thing was a kick. I mean, it felt like it was a Kickstarter device. Has it improved? Sure. It looked, everything about it feels like Kickstarter. Like, let's just try. And I feel like at the old price point, maybe. But now when we know what these are going to cost with, shortages that are coming that aren't even involving RAM, that are the other parts that we've seen in NVMEs going up, we've seen in other electronics, because all those people who weren't doing RAM, now we have fabs who weren't doing RAM who are looking at doing it, which means, guess what? They're not making whatever they were making. So that's going to go up in price. And you get this kind of thing. So
it's so interesting because it's dawning on me that I've had for a very long time this internal perception that Sony will can stuff, or they will stop supporting, or will stop kind of investing into stuff almost consistently. And it's a big reason why I think unconsciously I haven't really bought into any of these other things they've launched over the years, because I've been burned in the past in the PS Vita days, where that was a great piece of hardware.
Yeah.
And for one moment, they had a really cool kind of vision, which was you're going to have cross-buy and cross-save.
Oh, yeah.
So, because initially you had to buy the game twice, by the way. You needed to buy the game for Vita if you wanted to play it on it, even if you already owned it. And then at some point they were like, hold on a second, we can do cross-buy. So you buy it once, you get it for both platforms.
Right.
And not only that, but you can, when you leave your house, you can continue on your save on the same game you're playing. So it's, seamless cross-save. I thought that was visionary.
Yeah.
In a way. But they didn't continue to invest into that. Instead, that died out completely. They stopped doing cross-buy, cross-save. And they pretty much abandoned the Vita. It went on to die. They stopped making games for it. They stopped kind of actively supporting it. And they kind of done that consistently with most of their devices outside of the main PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's hard, and I'm sure many companies have done it, but it's just, and you're right, it's subconscious. It's just, it doesn't have to be a conscious worry, Go ahead, Silver, sorry.
I think that's a testament to the fact that you can't cater to the hardcore gaming crowd. And be successful. You can't do that and compete with Nintendo if that's what you're setting out to do.
No, exactly. You absolutely can't. And that's my biggest worry, is that the status quo, because these handhelds and new consoles are all they were started prior to the RAM issues, prior to all these other issues, with sort of the same thought process that has continually failed in seeing those things explode. And now you're facing an even worse future where, and dude, gamers, we joke about it. I'll joke and say gamers have a long history. We do, but we also give a lot of leeway to a company you like many gamers do. But at some point, even I'm noticing burnout from people. And then the burnout takes short amount of time if it's more money, right? Very typical. You see that with doesn't have to be games. That's any industry in the world. That's anything in the world, really. That's prostitutes. That's anything. If you are, if your cost goes up, but your performance in whatever you're doing doesn't go up, it doesn't take as long for you to just be like, this is not worth this difference here. Real quick, Ulf Hedna, not the full name, sorry, but it's not all there. $7 super chat. What's your favorite geographical game landscape? He says snow, desert, prairie, or dense mountains, etc. The favorite. What's the favorite landscape? Lava is in there. I don't think you put so we got lava as well. Underwater. Let's see. Ooh, underwater might be. Snow's great.
Yeah, but moving underwater kind of sucks. it's been okay in some games. Like
I'm talking about
Horizon
subs
did
and
it.
stuff.
Okay.
I did. What was the game? Do you remember it, Silver? The old sub shooter, Aquanox. I think it was Aquanox 1 and 2 you were in a sub underwater, and it was sort of like a space shooter, but you were underwater. You were in the deep ocean.
There were a couple of those. Wasn't there a Descent as well? That was kind of
there might have
underwater.
been. There might have been. There might have been. Favorite? Snow's pretty high, man. Snow's cool. Snow, you can see that physicality of you pushing through it, and if it rises and lowers, snow's hard to pass up, man.
Yeah, it's always been a favorite, but it's been done so much as well that I don't know at this point. I think at this point I enjoy the really dense jungles a lot.
Yeah.
Like from
Avatar nailed that shit.
Avatar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, just like a good jungle and not necessarily jungle per se, but just kind of dense vegetation. The stuff in Crimson Desert is also great with the wind and everything. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Let's see, somebody asked us a question. I just want to make sure I hit it. I suppose a BCL turn force. We can hit this short. Dana Anderson says, I would love you guys' opinions on Steam Machine. Are Sony really thinking it's a competitor? If Valve on scale and advertise, could they be competitive? Are the chips good are the chips good in your opinion? Is the VR headset good? I can't answer any of that. It's too advanced. I think now also the price is so up in the air.
Yeah.
That's not trying to get out of that question, but
that's what I was going to talk about.
And what we're hearing now,
I think the price point at this point is becoming such a big issue that that's going to be really challenging.
Dude, and 400 at whatever hardware we assumed it was going to be is one thing. 600 is another thing. 800 is a whole other thing. You know what I mean? Like there's some, if you watch tech YouTube websites where they have like industry experts who are looking at where costs are going and where hardware is available to be purchased at scale. So instead of my price, but 100,000 chips where they get it cheaper, even those have risen so much that it's going to be very difficult to see how these go. I also think VR is in deep shit. VR is like, it's, man, VR is in rough shape. Every place I used to go to talk to VR developers is a wasteland. They're all gone. It's not that they even stopped. It's that many left the industry. They've gone to AR with Google kind of stuff, not even making games, but making business apps. It's rough because you're selling to such a small number. The highest selling VR helmets is still a super small number. Because even if you sold 100%, and they sell 5%, maybe 10% to that entire populace, which is super small. Man, that's small.
It's tiny.
Robert says Wildlands. Wildlands, do you mean like sort of what he said? Sort of like maybe the jungle, maybe the
I think just
prairies?
the variety of landscapes available in
true.
Of biomes available in Wildlands, because there's everything there from deserts to jungle to swamps to terrestrial or like more temperate forests.
Yeah. And boy, do I like those. I like, back to the hardware side and VR side. I like that kind of stuff. I have 3 VR headsets. I used to have even more. Love that kind of stuff. I think it's great, but just Jesus Christ, man. It's like supporting Android 3 or something now. There's all kinds of issues. The entire way in which languages talk to the older VR helmets is already out of spec. WMR is already out of spec. And I just feel like it's a changing landscape that now, dude, a headset with 128 gigs doesn't sound like a ton, especially if you're trying to save some games on it. But the amount of money, you just basically quadrupled the cost of whatever it is. It's ridiculous. It's going to be interesting. And people were like, oh, they remember Sony and Valve both hinted that they had these big, vast deals that they wouldn't be affected by the price changes. Maybe they did, but it's now gone. because both are in a panic over it. And you're starting to see like comments about like, this may be an issue. PlayStation prices rising, Steam machines continue, or Steam whatever continues to be delayed. So we'll see, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the cost. And I think Johnny and I talked about this. If I were Gabe, and I'm not, I would take $1 billion and I would subsidize the fuck out of anything from Valve, because you're selling a store. You're not selling a device. I mean, the device is fine, but they've already shown they're not advanced. You're
selling the infrastructure.
Yeah, and you want people on your store. And by the way, it's a store you don't even have to supply. Somebody else is making your games. So if you can figure out a way to say, we're going to bite it on the headsets or whatever, and we're going to, this number, this magical number you need to hit to make it a viable new store with viable products, which what they've tried to do, they talk about streaming normal games to it. That's one step in the right direction. I would. I mean, I don't.
That could make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, imagine like 400 in today's price point range. That's not so bad. You start looking at that going, whoa. And then you build in the feeling even though the hardware hasn't got better, it makes a consumer think they got a better deal if the price is lower than the rest of the prices that have risen.
That is buyer psychology, right?
It absolutely is. Sure. Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm getting a deal. Dude, did you guys see Amazon's dynamic pricing right now? You look on Amazon, you get an email. So one of my friends wrote a bot. I talked about it last night. Somebody had already wrote a bot to go and click on a bunch of shit on Amazon and then go back to see if those prices. So it's like anything you like, don't go to Amazon to buy it. Go to Amazon to look at it and then wait for them to dynamically lower the price. It's just like, dude, it's creepy. What were you saying though, Johnny? I interrupted you.
Well, the other thing about psychology is if Sony were to come out with a handheld, the perception of that is also bad, because if the thought is we're trying to compete with Switch 2, not only are you maybe incapable to cater to this kind of broad market of like family friendly as well, but you're also kind of banking on people already having a PS5, or at least like to get the most value out of the portable. You would ideally also have a PS5. So that's now bringing your expenditure to like what, $2,000, because you need the original PS5 plus whatever the portable is to only kind of get you to that baseline where you can play games on the screen and on the go, which is technically what Switch 2 offers. I know it's not the same fidelity, not like fully comparable, but that could be some of the perception with it. Like, it is just way too expensive of an ecosystem to buy into.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's weird because I still generally
hear, if they're asking you to already be part of that ecosystem, I think it's never going to take off at all.
Yeah, it's hard. Do you know
dead in the water, as it were?
Do you know what would work? And this isn't going to happen, but what would work is to just say we have 2 devices on the next release, and say Xbox console, whatever it's called, PC, whatever, and then handheld, and then PlayStation. We got your PlayStation 6 or whatever, and we have your handheld at the same day. And that way, you can sort of decide. But like you guys said, you are going to notice a fidelity on the handheld if, let's say, you just got the handheld and played the store. But if they do a good job on the hardware, which I think they can, and I think a majority of games can probably play fairly well, especially when you're talking about PSSR and them probably running at a pretty low resolution on the handheld and then pumping it up. And we've seen some really good I've seen some pretty low resolution games on the handheld look pretty good when you start, because it is a smaller screen, and depending on the game and the fidelity of click, like sort of like, what do I need to pay attention? Is this guy super far away? Then shit starts to get a little rough. But yeah, you could do it, but then I just sort of talked myself into the same problem of, if you want both, now you're paying. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard. Like, no matter what, it's hard.
It is a tough one.
It's a tough one. Yeah. But you can tell where they're going. What I mean by that is you can tell everybody's in a panic. Like, there is a huge panic. It's like, we don't, do we support this? Do we support that? What do we support? How do we support it? We got a plan. Oh shit, RAM prices are up. We're going to do this. But guess what? You got, NVMe in there. Uh-oh. Now that goes up. Now, and by the way, NVMe one of the best parts of these new consoles. I personally think I'm actually more excited or impressed by NVMe and its improvements we've seen in game loading and teleporting and all that kind of stuff than I am a lot of the actual tech in those devices. And guess what? It adds a shit ton of heat. The heat difference between an SSD and an NVMe is like nothing you've seen before. NVMe's are so hot. And what do you have to do? Turn your fan up in a handheld. What does that do? Impact the battery, you know? So it's like, it's a no, it's not a no-win situation. It's just, it's just really hard. Christopher, $5 super chat. Not sure if this was discussed. What are your thoughts on State of Decay 2 starting? We did discuss. Yeah. Long story short, it's a form. You fill it out. That is the equivalent of the entire State of Decay alpha play test. I did sign up, and that was it because there's nothing else going on. So we'll see. There wasn't a lot there.
Kind of sounds like it's kind of like Creative Assembly with Medieval 3, where they're just basically hosting streams where they're talking about their ideas and inviting chatters to submit their ideas.
Yeah, and then pretending you take a bunch into account when you really only take one or two ideas. I'm just joking. That's cynical, but it's true. Dana says, I didn't know about dynamic pricing. Yeah, when did I bring this up, Johnny? Like 2 months ago, maybe, when I was starting to talk. Where I was like, hey, this dynamic pricing thing's coming in the very next week.
You were explaining this to me.
Yeah.
I have to admit, first I thought you were talking shit. I didn't think it was possible that was going on.
I love it.
But definitely is.
Yeah, well, do you know why? You can either think I'm full of shit, or you can think it's just not possible, or that it would be very difficult to implement. And instead, not only has it not been difficult to implement, it happened fast. It was like I was starting to hear about it. We started talking about it. And then like the very next week or the week after I was told about it, it was like, boom, it's in a ton of things. And that's the new way the algorithms are going, is dynamic.
And I swear sometimes I see it at the same price, but it's showing as if it's discounted. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
That's some evil shit.
Think about this scary shit. You're talking to any of your friends and you're talking about something slightly expensive. And your friend says, yeah, I just looked at the price, but I'll wait on a sale. They leave the website. 5 minutes later, they get an email. Guess what? That device is on sale by $30. That person then, anybody psychology does this, that person's then think it's a sale. They're like, okay, well, there we go. And now it's closer. And then they're not going to say, I'm going to wait for another sale. That's either enough money for them or it's not. But that dynamic pricing, they're taking into account other purchases you've made. Oh, Jeremy looked at this device for 5 months at $900. He bought it at $750. Let's look at the percentage difference in this other thing he's been looking at and try to equal the exact same percentage in the price drop. And everything is going to dynamic. It's basically the barter system that's done automatically for you now. And it's in everything. So prep yo asses. Let's see. What else do we got? Sounds illegal. I mean, not really. It's like personal deal, I guess. Like it's very hard to.
Yeah.
It might be weird, and taking.
I mean, a store can change their pricing. That's not illegal. The only thing is they're using data of your usage,
right,
in order to manipulate that.
Yeah, dude, it's such a weird thing. It's so uncomfortable. Flexing Mecca, what's up, dude? He says quick resume needs to be implemented everywhere. Oh God, yes. Dude, it's so funny because, man, when quick resume was announced, I remember people were making a big deal out of it, and I was like, well, I didn't see it. I was like, it's not for me, or I wouldn't use it even though I play a lot of games. It never really tracked. But once I started getting accustomed to it, holy crap, I want it in every device. Like, it is absolutely magical. And in fact, we were just talking a couple days ago to people who were playing GeForce. They were playing a couple games they have on their PC. I was like, why? And they're like, because it's like quick resume. I just go into the thing, I hit start, and it's up and running. And like,
absolutely,
for a fast
one of these
game.
things that Rory Sutherland talks about, of like, what what we state as our preference as a consumer versus what we actually
consume and use.
like what we actually do, right? When like push comes to shove.
Yeah.
It just is very meaningful to have that instant like boom boot up. Because I've noticed myself booting up, for example, the Switch 2 instead of Crimson Desert. Because I know like it's gonna take a while to load the game. And I might just say, well, I don't want to play that long. So I'm going for this because it has like the quick boot.
And it can also take into account what game you're going to play on. You might like a game that boots somewhere. You might be like, I only have 10 minutes or 15 minutes to jump in. And this other game, may have quests that last longer or don't save everywhere. I am worried about quick resume though, because I've definitely had errors. I've had a couple save game corruptions. I've had errors. These were older, admittedly. I think they're mostly patched out. But on quick resume, I also had some crashes. I also had some non-boots where the game wouldn't boot again. And I had to basically uninstall it, reinstall it. So whatever was going on that quick resume was just being injected. It's sort of, it's just a little bit extra information at the starting of the program that seemed to screw it up. But once that all got figured out, yeah, man, that has been, I notice it. And I'm not really worried about time, but I notice it even on my TV when let's say it gets a patch and the speed of a button press slows down by a half a second. But that's a long time, but slows down by, a quarter of a second, whatever. You add a couple of those together and pretty soon you're like, God damn it. And you start, it becomes that friction. I hate that term, but it becomes that friction that people notice. Yeah.
No, but it is. Yeah, it's very real.
Yeah, I just hate the term.
It's very trite, but it is very real.
Yeah. Yeah. Who really uses quick resume? Turning on a game and starting a game happens so quick now it's pointless. It doesn't. I'm like always playing games, and I can tell you straight up, whether it be opening an app or, it also depends on what system you're playing it on for quick resume. If you have your Xbox or your device turned off, start one, start the other, hit a button, start it. You only have 5-10 minutes to play a game. Maybe you're playing a game for 30 minutes. Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Though it does depend on the game. Like, what you want to jump into, but it's obvious it does work because you see that's like one of the most on lists of like things that have been positive. It's obvious that people like it. And I think you look at DirectX storage, direct storage, they're doing it. They did it for Forspoken. Got it. They did, right? Yeah, Forspoken. They did it for that game, right? Is that the right game? Forspoken. What's the game with the chick and the magic?
Forspoken is the one, like in the sand.
There we go.
Of sand everywhere.
Bam. And that had a quick load. Spider-Man, you notice like the super quick loads. People like it. People like to get into stuff quick. We're busier. Yeah. It also depends on if you're a kid or if you're a person who's like, busting ass, going to school and coming home and having 5 hours to play games versus some of us. Kigo Rooney, $5 super chat. Would love to know your thoughts on Life is Strange Reunion. What did you think about the conclusion? Anybody besides me played that?
No, not yet.
Yeah. I saw some mistakes they made. However, it's still a better conclusion than a lot of games I've had to play through. Mass Effect 3, you bastard. I just overall really liked it. I liked it. I liked that what they kept, the decisions that I had made, keeping that in the story. Let's see, without spoiling it. Yeah, I would say overall I really liked it. It's hard to wrap up a story in any. I feel like it's been hard to wrap up stories in TV shows and games, but maybe that's just me. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
It is.
Graphically, I liked it.
I guess you can't even say if it's a happy ending or
you can.
Sad ending, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's happy and sad. Yeah. But it's also a sad. Life is Strange is definitely more
has a lot of sad in it.
It's got a lot of sad,
even when it's happy.
Yeah, definitely a lot of sad. You quite quickly pick up on it for sure. But yeah, I'm really happy they got it done. And listen, smartest business deal I've heard of in years. Somebody contracts you to make number 2, and you put in the contract that you have to pay for number 3 is really smart. And from their own words, that sounds like exactly what they did. And they wanted to complete how many times? There's a lot of games I've played where there's 1 or 2 games and it ends sort of on that soft ending. And you're sitting there going, well, there's not going to be or a TV show where you get 1 season and it gets canceled. Yeah, It does. Let's see. What else do we got? Oh, future. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the handheld discussion. I think that's out of the way. We've talked about the consoles. I don't think there's much to talk about on the new console side because price has now thrown such a wrench in any discussion that you just have to sort of wait and hope.
Is it changing? Do you think the horizon for the next generation of consoles, PS6 and Xbox, series?
Do I feel that the price is changing stuff? Is that what you mean?
Well, no, more so like when they're actually going to come out, because some people were talking about 2027 PS6 for sure. At this pace, I don't think that's going to happen.
I have a hard time seeing that happen.
Yeah.
Also, what is the PS6 gonna offer?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Especially when you look at there's either history, right? Repeated history, factual proven repeated history, especially in the APU section. So what the consoles are. And you look at difference in graphics cards, even difference in entire chipsets, the massive increase that were usually sold by these companies, any company, is usually what, 50-60% of what we're told. Or we'll see somebody say this has 2 times as many blanks and people think that means twice as powerful. Nope. Never has, and it never will. It legitimately never will. We all know that, like, especially because there's a loss. It's never exactly equal to 2 times this, 2 times that.
It doesn't scale perfectly.
Yeah. So
with the hardware,
I would rather have them wait and figure out cooling and wait and figure out efficiencies, wait and figure out the price point. Because if you sell it at a super high price point, does anybody in the world think they're going to lower it if the RAM prices went down? It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So it might go down by 100, but I'm not talking about, to the amount it would go if everything was sort of at its more status quo. So I would rather have them wait it out a little bit. I'm not necessarily super happy with the current consoles. I'm not unhappy, but I think their performance is where you would expect a power and energy and heat constrained device to be. I would like them to be more powerful, but I mean, I look at the Pro, for instance, and I'm like, no way. And I bet no way when it came out. I was like, there is no fucking way. That is not worth it. Yeah.
The diff is not worth it.
No, and it almost rarely has been. There were times where I thought the Scorpio or the Xbox original X, whatever that. Yeah. That one, there were times where like I was getting some pretty noticeable performance increases on those games. But now with ray tracing eating up so much power, or the games being, sort of made in particular ways, that differential just it's not there as much as I would like it. I'll just say that.
The one
I gotta take a short toilet break.
Flight Simulator.
Yeah, go ahead. What did you say, brother? What did you say, so?
The One X was also the only one that could play Flight Simulator of the previous gen consoles.
Dude, Flight Sim is insane.
Yeah.
So looks like multiple companies.
Especially on a console.
Yeah. Looks like multiple websites are reporting and taking some screenshots here. PlayStation Studios has removed nearly all PC references from any websites. But I mean, we already knew that was happening. So, yeah, I mean, prepare yo ass. I mean, even the people we talk to are no longer doing PC ports. They're helping with console. So that's sort of over for now. That discussion's been over for a little while. Scotty Jelenic, it's getting to the point where GeForce Now would be a far better option. I mean, yeah, especially when you look at dude, you could run for ages before coming to the cost of even one part of a new PC. It sucks.
Yeah.
Crimson Desert runs and look better with ray tracing off. That is a hot take. But I haven't played it in the last couple days, so maybe they did a patch. But with it off, there was actually some rendering problems with it off that made some indoor areas actually look horrid. But that is very cool if they have. Very cool. What were you going to say, bud?
No, I just said,
yeah.
Sounds.
And you're still not getting that one, right? It doesn't really appeal to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was a so did Skyrim appear? So I know this is third person, and Skyrim has first, and I actually like first. But did Skyrim? I don't remember if you were a Skyrim fan. Like when it came out, did you leap into Skyrim right away?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
I
Okay.
even got the collector's edition. Yeah, I have Alduin somewhere up there.
Okay. Is it the third person,
figurine.
or is it the world, or is it your past history with Elder Scrolls games that caused you to be excited about Skyrim? What do you remember? What caused you to be excited for like Skyrim?
It was partially, history with Elder Scrolls. It was, like the setting as well. Norse, my neck of the woods.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
It was all of that. But I ran into more. I think more so actually than even like Morrowind or Oblivion. I kind of bounced off it where it felt even more static somehow.
You bounced off
to me.
I'm sorry.
World.
You bounced off Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were excited for it, but bounced
static.
off of it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And to this day, I've never finished that game. I've never like finished the actual story campaign.
I don't know if that even means anything because the number of people I know who love it who've never finished is also high. So like, I'm not quite sure. I do understand. So I dived into Morrowind deep, and then Skyrim I did love, but there was something about Morrowind I liked more.
Morrowind I also never finished, to be honest. And I think with Morrowind I ran into a major disconnection because I played into the Imperial Legion quest line where I became like the commander of the Imperial Legion on Morrowind, and there was no recognition of that at all in the game world. Like all of the legionaries still like addressed me as like kind of a commoner and stuff like that. There was no like acknowledgement. It felt like within the game world of the fact that I had basically become commander of the entire like garrison there. And that sort of made me sort of switch off. And that's always been my major issue with the Elder Scrolls games, is just this sense of lack of connection to the game world and the complete static nature of it. Because it has to allow you to cater to everything. It can't exclude you from anything. So you have to be able to join the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, and all of this stuff and do all of this simultaneously. Which just makes it feel really bland to me, and makes me disconnect. And I think to a similar extent to your point, it's the same issue with Crimson Desert, where I don't feel an identity with that game, as I think I've talked about before. When I look at that game, I don't feel a sense of identity in something I can immerse myself in. I just feel like I'm going to play that game, and 5 minutes into it, I'm going to encounter something that just immediately disconnects me from the game world because of a gameplay system or something that doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like it belongs there. It feels like it's just sort of packed in there. And that's going to disconnect me and make me lose interest.
You know, with Skyrim, Morrowind, Daggerfall, all those games, it's really, and then any of the games right now, whether it be a Zelda or Crimson Deserts or Roblox even, it's always funny to me that it's easy to forget that even a blockbuster is played by a minority. Like a minority of all gamers.
Yeah.
And so, you'll get sort of that overarching, this is for everybody, or this game, like you'll love it. And they don't realize that there's a high chance you've played 65 other RPGs, many of which probably had super high scores or whatever. And for the various thousands of reasons, it just wasn't for you. You didn't like it. And I've seen similarities between, let's say, Skyrim and this, where did you... Okay, sorry. I was going to ask Johnny if he posted something. I got a weird alert. I think it's good. I think it's fair to look at it and say, yeah, just because I like Skyrim somewhat. Obviously, you don't love it, but I'm not going to get into this one. I think a lot of it is also, I think for a lot of people, the FOV matters. Like, are you first person? Are you third person? I can fully attest that Dragon Age Inquisition is an outstandingly better game with a camera mod. And if you had told me prior to me downloading that camera mod, and I was talking in chat about it in our Discord when I installed that mod, because I was actually, dude, I study that stuff. And I've heard people say it. And I'm like, why? Like, why would 5 feet closer make that much of a difference? And it's obviously not just that. It's how the game systems work, reactivity, character, does it look right, and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people who like Skyrim may not like it. And I see a lot of people who like this won't like Skyrim. It's pretty normal. It's just right now in the zeitgeist. It's like, oh my God, it's the most amazing thing. And you look at the sales and you're like, apparently not. That doesn't mean bad sales. It's that when you look at the majority of gamers and you look at how big the market is, it's very easy to go into a group and no one's playing the premier game that you think arbitrarily everybody is playing. It's quite easy to do that. So it happens with, Call of Duty or Battlefield, and those things sell like hotcakes. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion when it comes to like what to jump into next, because I feel that way too. I'll see. Avowed was that way for me, where I was I just didn't. I liked Pillars, but the idea of being in like whatever that mode was, or not mode, sorry, but that viewpoint, I didn't think I would like it. I ended up liking it, but I didn't think I would end up liking it. I thought that it wasn't. I didn't need it almost. Where I was fine with the CRPG isometric. What's your guys' favorite? Oh, go ahead.
And Avowed was a game where I heard all the comparisons to Skyrim beforehand.
Yeah.
And then playing it, I didn't understand them at all because it's nothing like Skyrim at all.
Much closer to Outer Worlds, which
I mean it's much closer to Mass Effect, to like a fantasy Mass Effect, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than anything, really.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make like comparisons like that, to me, because of the way the way the squad system works and everything, the party system that's very, very Mass Effect like, the companion abilities, all of that.
Yeah.
I got into Skyrim because it was advertised everywhere at the time. That is fair. Skyrim, man.
Yeah.
Bro, Skyrim was. It just doesn't even make sense how Skyrim, how big of a deal Skyrim was. Again, to those people who were into that and everything, and just be like, holy shit, I can't escape this game even if I wanted to. And it was
a lot like The Sims in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Still never finished Skyrim. I released right during Saints Row. Oh, stop playing right during Saints Row. Now the third and Arkham City. Whoops, my tab crashed for my browser. I was telling Johnny, man, my system does not like the studio for YouTube. It hates it. It just crashes all the time now. And it's just the studio. Everything else runs fine. And of course, YouTube will tell you everything's fine and that it's your system, which, hey, in this case, it might be actually. Let me go back and scroll down because I was reading that. There we go. Another Vapor says, I beat Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim at least once, but I just adore the unique, rich lore and culture of Morrowind. I totally support that and hate it at the same time. What a great comment. Because it's so bad that it doesn't even rank as bad to me. It's some of the worst lore and like writing I've ever seen in a fantasy game, but I absolutely support somebody who doesn't think that, because it's also a lot. So in a weird way, I hope that makes sense, but there's so much that you can, it feels real.
There's a lot of volume, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of volume. So you're like, it works in that way.
It's delivered by extraordinarily competent people like Patrick Stewart, like Sean Bean.
Oh, true.
Like
I hadn't
Max
thought about
Monsugo.
that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I had not put two and two together. That is absolutely true, man. Let's see. Flynn Bowden says Skyrim 11/11/11. Yeah, Dreamcast 9999. I woke up at 4 a.m. to play Skyrim during release day past midnight. I'm trying to remember. I think we invited everybody over here and played fake co-op for Skyrim the first day, meaning we just put our TVs so everybody could see everybody else's TV, and we played just because.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was awesome. There's a lot of really fun stuff in Skyrim, man. I really like it, but I can't look at it and say there aren't all the deficiencies that we see in many other games.
Yeah, I could
you know?
never get through the lore when it comes to like the reading,
Yeah.
because they had, these big chunks of reading you could do to understand the lore and like learn more about it. I'm just never able to get through that and make anything out of it. It was always that thing where you read a lot of words, but none of it actually means anything in your head. Kind of hard to parse.
All I can say is that no, I'm not even going to say that. That's too mean. Yeah, there's some writing in that game. That's as far as I'll go. There are some words in books in that game.
I mean, for my part, I can get very invested in a game's lore, essentially, but I never got all that invested in Elder Scrolls lore.
Can I point something that I think is crazy interesting, and that's that the MMO is better written, better lore in the way it's written, and tells some of the same stories. I was actually pretty surprised at how good the Elder Scrolls Online's like writing and voice acting and everything were compared to the main titles. Obviously, different company, same IP though, and I guess that shows that my unsaid sentence about good or bad writing, I feel it pans out pretty easily when you play the MMO. No, I'm not saying all parts.
Yeah.
Certainly not saying all parts, but
I think a big strength is that a lot of it was voice acted, whereas in, let's say,
absolutely
Skyrim,
that can help. Yeah.
So much of it relied on you reading these kind of, paragraphs and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's just a difference in how you write stuff for people to like read versus what you would write for a voice actor to read. You kind of have to streamline it a bit more. And as a result, it's a bit easier to take in, I think. But also, yeah, I think different people wrote the MMO, the stuff for the MMO, because it just reads differently.
Yeah. Training every day and what?
That's never been the issue for me, I don't think. Like I get I've gotten very invested, for instance, in Elden Ring's lore. Which doesn't really get delivered a lot by
now that is a tough one for me.
Yeah. But with I think with Elder Scrolls, it wasn't that the prose or the writing was bad. It was more that I feel like the motifs and the general themes it conveyed and the characters and whatnot and the legends, the mythos of it, didn't really engage me all that much. It all felt bland, I guess, and fairly familiar to me. It's not. I wouldn't necessarily say the writing is bad, but it never really engaged me. It never really pulled me in for whatever reason.
Yeah, Witcher 3's was good. On the side
very
stories
good
at least
for me.
And then Elder Scrolls, I think I do need. I'll admit I'm dumb. I need a little bit more of it delivered to me in the
I don't think it's a question
in the typical way.
Yeah.
So I bounced off that one. Yeah, lore when you like it, boy does it add to a game, man. Like when you are, I mean, it just colors every single thing. I don't think the lore in. I was just going to say I don't think the lore in Starfield is amazing, but when you do the rebirth, and there's slight changes to the game world, it completely makes you question everything. Like, what else is going to change? And I love that little sense of mystery. What were you going to say?
I mean, that's how I was playing Elden Ring for like the last month or so, was just investing myself in the lore and just making lore-based builds, like a Golden Order Paladin and like a Bloody Finger and whatever that felt like appropriate for the game's sort of setting, and then tailoring weapons and armor sets and whatnot to that end.
That's pretty cool.
That felt really fun, and then engaging with other players, like joining other players as a Golden Order Paladin or as a Finger Maiden or something. That felt really fun.
Dude, I love the term Finger Maiden. It's great. It's one of the best names ever. No, it's amazing, and I want more games to name their characters Finger Maidens. Training every day, and Love the Dog says, I'm playing Returnal again to prepare for Soros Made Me Go Back. But then he says, excellent preview, by the way. And I want to say thanks. I did a Samsung preview, but I didn't do a preview
By
for
the way, I didn't know that
Soros.
game existed until I saw your preview.
Samsung.
Completely out of my radar. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, unless I can't remember. Like, I mean, I guess it's possible, but I just went back and I was all, did I do one? Or I mean,
No.
maybe I did one a little farther along ago because I've done a ton of study on that one. So maybe for some reason.
Maybe it's when you covered it in like the top games of the month.
Right, but that's not a
Because
preview.
you tend to go a bit more in depth in those.
Oh, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. But that was confusing for a second. I did the old thing where I'm like, did I really give Zelda a never touch? Remember when that guy came in here and he was like, Carrick hates Zelda, he gave it never touch. And I was like, the fuck, I never reviewed that game. What was it, Twilight Princess? No. Yeah, it's Twilight Princess.
What? No, it wasn't.
I reviewed
it was
Tears.
Breath of the Wild, right?
Oh, Breath of the Wild. Yeah, you're right. Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because Twilight Princess is
older.
Quite a while back. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely older. Let's see. When you like food yourself into the world. Oh, they're talking about lore. Yeah, lore is awesome, man. If you can get into it, and it does. It change it, especially if you're just sort of no shame or no embarrassment towards really getting into it. You can double up on a game's like the amount of time you play and all that kind of stuff. It's so good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did you guys see the stuff that the new Doom DLC is like supposedly the size of a whole new game? Did you guys see that? Like they've been talking about it a little bit.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a lot. I want to see. I want to see.
I did buy Doom
if that
Medieval
works
in the spring sale, so I'll probably get into it over the next few weeks.
Fun game. I like those. Robert says Samsung gives me driver series feel. Yeah, that game's definitely. It's definitely influenced by a lot of games. I'll say that. I have a feeling when people play Samsung, it'll be like, this game is like, this game is like, this game is like, this game is like, because it feels like it's cribbing from a huge number of titles, very specific gameplay elements, and putting them all in. They're very concrete. You're like, I know that this is from this other game, or these guys like this other game, which is not a bad thing. I'm just saying that's what happens.
Driver was such a weird series.
Driver was, which is why I didn't go there, because Driver is... Dude, I couldn't even get. We just talked about this 3 days ago, Obimas and I, about I couldn't. There was some place, I think it was the first like car park I couldn't get out of because I can't remember if I was crashing. I just remember there was inherent frustration with that game. There was a lot of frustration I had with Driver. Like, and I don't know how many there were.
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of the car chases could be very difficult. And then they went with Driver 3. They tried to do GTA and do it where you could get out of the car. And that functionality just was not implemented well at all.
Hard to do, man. Hard to do.
It was,
dude.
It was really, really messy. And then they did something entirely different with Driver San Francisco, where they did the whole, you could warp into.
Oh my God, I forgot.
And
into
and
other
take
cars.
over different, into other cars and take over like mind jack
the game,
other NPCs driving on the road.
I forgot all about that shit, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. Sort of a good idea. It didn't work great, but sort of a, like a unique idea. I'm taking away the good because it may not have been.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it was really impressive to see that they were willing to experiment like that, for sure.
Robert says, parking garage, you had to do a 180 turn or 360, I believe. That was frustrating to pass. Yeah, there was something. All I know is I remember that when Obi Moss and I were talking about it, and then somebody else popped in and said that garage, and it caused me to like recoil from the chat physically, because I had not remembered and going like, oh my God, because I do remember being inherently frustrated with something.
Memories.
Yeah, it was something happened there. Moving on from there, what do you got for any news there, Johnny? Johnny boy?
Couple things that I saw. The Stellar Blade developer Shift acquired. I don't know if it's a full team or just like the one person. This is Shinji Mikami, who was director of games like Resident Evil 4, God Hand, Vanquish, The Evil Within.
Okay.
And so I thought that was interesting because I'm a big fan of Stellar Blade. I want to see what they do next. So it's cool to see that team grow. But that's also a cool kind of like high-level talent to add. And might really also color what they do in the future, right? In terms of what types of games, what types of gameplay and stuff.
If
So,
that's fair. Yeah. I like
interesting little mix.
I like that dev. Wishing the best for them. I actually really do like their stuff. I really like that game, man. That game, I mean, it wasn't perfect or anything, but there was a lot to enjoy about that. People were asking for the Samsung review or preview. I think that's the right link. You know who else who drives? Ryan Gosling. I know that joke. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't like that movie. One of the few people.
That's the movie
the
made.
driver?
You know who made that movie?
The Dune director. Did he make
No.
it? No? Okay, who?
No. That was Danish director Nicholas Winding Refn, who is best friends with Kojima and is playing Heartman in Death Stranding.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
A little bit of knowledge there. Also, got some news here. We'll do this one quick. Sony Entertainment yesterday announced the acquisition of Cinemersive Labs, a UK-based startup specializing in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computer vision. This is also one of the first uses, or not first uses, but what I talked about months ago, the changing of generative AI to other words, which we knew was going to happen. You know, once a word gets a certain connotation to it, they're going to start moving to other words to describe the same stuff. And they did in the announcement, but that'll, like this thing says here, the move's expected to support PlayStation proprietary AI upscaling spectral super resolution currently in the PS5 Pro, and will certainly be on any handheld device they do. So they ended up buying that company, and expect pretty much every company to invest in some way or figure out a way to do that and get it in. They won't all be DLSS 5, but they'll be, I mean, it's obviously where things
Good old pisser.
What else you got for news?
I saw that Jason Blundell, who he worked in Call of Duty, he did the zombies modes for I'm reading here, for the first 4 Call of Duty Black Ops games, which were well loved. And he's got a new studio. It's called Magic Fractal. So that's it. New studio. The prior studio he was in was closed by Sony in March of this year. It was called
Oh, yeah. Right.
Dark Outlaw.
Yeah, and was it true that they didn't even they had never done a game? Or had
Correct.
they done so they, at that time, they had never done a game, and they got closed, and then so he's separated to get another. And what's the game? What's the new game?
It's the studio. It's called Magic Fractal. We don't know what game they're working on yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah, new studio. So maybe we'll see some cool stuff from him.
Dude, it's always nice to see a company or somebody create a new studio versus waking up and having another.
Yeah, I'm specifically looking for stuff that's a bit more not necessarily positive, but kind of constructive, because there's so much of the news of stuff getting closed down, and it's easy to also feel like all is negative.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see what any new developer can create. I mean, there's a high chance, it'll be in the same bailiwick as everything else for their first game, but maybe not. Sometimes they have to sort of do the safe game first, which makes sense. But yeah. Let's see. Well, now you're uninvited to my weekly screening of Drive, Carrick. Listen, I think when it comes down to it, some movies, they're good, man, but I watch them maybe at the wrong time. Maybe I would go back and
that can always be the case. Yep.
Yeah, we're just
so Refn's work tends to be pretty divisive in general.
What does? Oh, the
director's work. Yeah.
I will say, even for people who like the movie, I think they view it as a bit eclectic. Even me, I like the movie, but I view it as not something that is it's maybe an acquired taste, kind of
his films are definitely not mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat, and then get the next bit of news up, Johnny. ACG, you may know better. Could the new studio work on the old game the other studio closed if the brand was not tied to a third party. Yeah, we've actually seen that before, where the IP went with the new, like it got basically it sort of got shut down, and then the company says you can buy the IP, or it's happened before. Charities happened where a company has stated you can take the IP. It just didn't work out, and maybe they don't feel that IP is going to be anything that they have the time or money or resources to do. It's for sure happened. I don't think it's happened a ton of times, because many times the entire thing didn't come together. And speaking of the Lex Friedman podcast, if you go back and listen to him, if you listen to the GTA guy, many times they'll tell you stories just don't come, the games just don't come together. Like, it just doesn't come together because it's writing a novel with 400 people, which would be really fucking weird.
Yeah.
And they at some point just are like, this is not whatever dream we had in our brain. So it depends on if that person wants to do it.
And it's not just writing a novel for 400 people. It's writing a novel with 400 people, writing a novel with 400 people. And then you have to make it interactive. Then you have to account for the fact that it is going to be interactive, and there's going to be player responses. And what are those player responses going to be? And how are you going to integrate that?
Got to be tough, man. I didn't really want to be a dev when I was a kid. There were a couple times where I tried to make a game, and I study it religiously now, but it's more because I just like the mastery of it. However, I wouldn't want to be a developer. I'm there now. Maybe that'll tough gig. And because we've had such great games, and we'll just talk about just the good stuff, because we've had such great games and great characters and great voice acting, great music all in the past, it is difficult to not compare, and is difficult even as a developer. It'd be quite difficult to say this isn't up to snuff. In fact, I would say developers who release a title, kudos on them for getting through all that, because even internally, let's say your guys, gals who are watching your game, they love your idea, right? They're like, maybe it's mostly positive, which we've seen. What is it called? Mugenics, fairly positive up until the point of release, and then positive on release. And yet, I bet you internally, your brain is still doing what brains do. Prepares for the fucking animal in the woods that's going to kill you, and consistently tells you you're not good enough, fast enough. For the most part, everybody deals with that stuff. So it's going to be hard no matter what. Even on success. Then you're like, what do I do next? Or how do I do DLC? Or it succeeded more than I wanted. How do I take advantage of that? I don't know about you guys. I've definitely had that, which is a weird, rare feeling where I've had an immense amount of success, and for a second, I'm like, oh no. How do I take advantage of it? Usually I purposely will kibosh the idea completely because it's very difficult to do. But that's also, I could see a developer, especially a mid-sized, smaller team, put something together, it explodes, and you feel that desire. You're like, like, how do we make something right away? Which is why sequels get made too. You're like, let's do a sequel. Let's do this. And you're like, but the ending had all the characters die and the world explode. And they're like, yeah, but bear with me. The sequel, and you're like, no, just move on. So, yeah, that'd be tough. Drive is awesome, especially with that soundtrack. A lot of people like Drive in here. I mean,
I think it's kind of important to try and maintain a sense of awareness of that, because it's very easy for us to get conditioned to take things for granted.
Yeah,
that we don't necessarily reflect on. I mean, we don't reflect on the fact that we get clean tap water if we're that fortunate.
Absolutely, for sure.
And when we just turn it on, or the light just flicks on when we hit the switch or whatever. That we just have access to electricity. These are things we take for granted. We take for granted that the game is here, the game works. So I look at a game. I think I mentioned this last time, but I look at a game like Crimson Desert, and I can say, I don't think this game looks like it's for me, but I can also look at it and say, it's kind of incredible that this game exists at all and that it works. It's also why, there's so much negativity online, especially on like message boards like Reddit and whatnot. Like in some online communities like Helldivers and in Total War, especially, unfortunately. But like with Total War, I look at that game And in spite of its issues, I'm still in awe of that game and what it actually does. Because I just remember being back in the playground when I was like 14 or 15, and that was like the ultimate fantasy game that you would like whisper about. Oh man, that's never gonna happen. Like that,
Right.
that's just a complete pipe dream. And now it's there. It's real. You can play it. You can join with 7 other players and play a full campaign in that game with like 100 different legendary lords and like over 20 different factions that all have different units, and it all works. Sometimes it breaks, sometimes there are bugs, there are glitches, so it doesn't always work, but it works for the most part. And the fact that that's the case, that it does work, is just incredible to me. And so I think you certainly have a right to be dissatisfied that things don't work or break or whatever. You have a right to expect that things work, but that also I think needs to be tampered with just the reality of how things get made and how wondrous it is that it gets created and that it exists and the effort that it takes for it to get there and get to you. Whether that's a game, whether it's delivery of power or electricity or running water or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, and I would certainly not say you've been universally positive about any of the war games.
No.
Like if somebody, nobody's done that, but like even listening, if somebody's listening later, they might be like, "Oh my God, he's just skewing positive." And I'm like, "Nah, I've sat in multiple podcasts where he's certainly not been happy about some change." But I'll say this: I spent 14 years in offices with another person who was like my soulmate in one thing. That was comparing what would happen when a nation fought another nation. They were completely separate. Like, you know, how would this group fight the Japanese samurai? How would this group do this? And I don't think we ever back then were even talking about what if a game did it. I think we legitimately didn't think a game would do it, or at least not look good. Not, you know, other than a tile on a screen, because we're talking
Now
ancient.
you have For Honor, yeah,
and yeah. And you or you have all of the Total War games where you just like you can play this nation, Age of Empires. Yeah. Dude, I still remember the first time playing Age of Empires and being like, wait, what? Like you can now, admittedly, wasn't as much variation there as like you may think in your head when you're a young kid and you see those. But yeah, it's fantastic. I got a super chat here real quick. Let's go with Ski with Robin Bree.
Damn. That's
actually catchy.
Good. You're onto something there.
You're onto something. He's probably got a business called Ski with Robin Bree, and he's like, dude, seriously, I know I'm onto something. If you can go back in time and prevent one game, this $20 super chat, thank you very much as always. If you can go back in time and prevent one game mechanic from being introduced, what are you stopping? Mine is the shift from play to daily chores, logins, streaks, daily quests. It transforms a hobby into a secondary job.
The minimap.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah, the minimap is pretty... in some games, I accept it. But in most games, it is wasted graphical space for the world representation. And I would rather have it be somehow delivered to me via sound, good, you know, geography, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what's something that, like, what's a pattern? I mean...
microtransactions is a nasty one that crops up sometimes. Sometimes it's not that intrusive, but it's definitely something that...
So excessive monetization.
Yeah. I guess I would, yeah, and that's by that point, it's really soft, but I would argue that many of the things I bought in a microtransaction would never have ever been in the game, and I really liked them. You know, like something
so they were like extra
out of the world.
Anyway.
Yeah, like if I get something in Assassin's Creed that's so out there, and I'm happy with what's in there, and then some, clothing comes up or armor, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm replaying the game anyway. I love the look of that. And it would never, as somebody who's experienced the games prior, I can tell you straight up, it wouldn't have been in those games. Like in any of the games I'd played prior, it just wouldn't have been in there because it was a divergent from the fiction for the most part, and it would be weird if the developer did that.
It's just like a fun
But
extra
I think all of
cosmetic
us
you
say
can buy.
microtransactions for the most part. Like that's like, I mean, right? But I don't know what it would be replaced with. But yeah, probably microtransactions. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I also am not as, I mean, I don't like, but that I just sort of look at the industry or any industry and humans as a whole, and I'm like, it's really not any different than any of the other stuff where they're trying to keep employment. So that's the other thing. When I was growing up, 50% of people would be laid off the next day when they were developing a game when it was released. Very typical. Many of my friends were laid off. Within a month of a game ending, those developers were not programming for the next game, and you would curb it by about 50%, and then you would maybe a little less, and then you would work on patches, and you didn't have
and then development on the next game would ramp up, and then maybe they would get rehired.
And maybe they would get rehired, yeah. And many times not, because they were mercenary in their own minds too. Because they had then gone somewhere else. They'd gone somewhere else. Yeah. So I do like that. I do like that it's changed, not for everybody, but you see layoffs later, but I was legitimately, I mean, you were preparing. Like you knew it was going to happen, which, even though it sometimes happens now, it's not the same as like talking to people who are developers who were like, boom, that game is out. And I know I need to start looking because my job is not fitting in with anything useful for the next 6 months for this company. I guess I would stop online for single player games, but it's not as, it does suck, but it's not nearly as prevalent as like we think, which is good. Because that means when it does happen, everybody's like Battleborn, for instance, just no reason for something like that to happen. And you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Hitman had the online requirement.
Yeah, it still does.
Still does.
Still does.
Yeah. I think it's patched out, by the way, with a Nexus file. I haven't followed the mod files for a long time, but I'm pretty sure it's probably been patched out, and you can play it offline. That always makes you even madder, right? Where you're like, come on, man, come on. Yeah, probably. I mean, but I agree with his. Like the day-to-day MMO style. Oh no, I'll tell you what. This has always happened though, so that's why I think I'm having a problem. If I could remove anything. And I think it's existed since day one. It's anytime I kill something and it's randomly missing a vital organ just to get me to do 10 of them. So hunt elks, somehow 3 of them don't have livers, so you have to hunt 13.
Or
and
antlers,
you're just like, dude,
even
or
though
antlers.
They have antlers visually.
Even though you can see the fucking antler when you kill them. Yeah. So, but it's a good question, and I totally understand. Like, I totally understand how that all, how that all happens.
Yeah.
But
and that goes to like weapons too. Like, remember in Fallout when you would see them with like an amazing gun or whatever? Like you go through the trouble of killing them, and then they drop like a potato.
So it's so funny you mentioned that. You were reading my mind, because I was thinking to the opposite side of that. You kill a dog and it's got a chain gun, and you're like,
okay, that's funny.
Did that dog? Where did that dog have the chain gun? Why wasn't he using it on me? Or you see, and a lot of games have fixed that, but that used to be a huge deal about 10, 15 years ago, maybe even a little. You would have a good series of games where the loot list or table just didn't care who you killed. It would just throw out shit. And you'd be like, what? This doesn't make sense. But I agree with you. The same thing. They're using a special weapon. You kill them and it's just gone. And you're all, where the fuck did that go?
You seem to have a lot of bullets back there, buddy. I don't see any bullets here.
Where are all those? Were you going to say something, Silver?
Yeah. That goes into one of my biggest pet peeves, especially playing on harder difficulties, is the rules for thee, but not for me.
Oh my God, yeah.
For the AI, where especially on a lot of, survival adjacent games with their harder difficulties, where ammo has to be limited. Where the AI has unlimited ammo, like they can fire like
seemingly
17 clips at you, and throw like a dozen grenades in say Fallout, where they'll just grenade spam indefinitely, and then you go and you kill them, and there's maybe 1 grenade and maybe like 7 bullets
Yep.
in the gun, and you go, this doesn't feel great. This doesn't immerse me. This doesn't feel like this does feel like an engaging system. This just feels like bullshit. Because there's a disconnect there. There's a massive dissonance between what you're showing me with what these AI are capable of, and then what I can do. That doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel earned. It just feels needlessly restrictive.
Yeah.
And that's something that happens over and over again in these games.
Remember in Dark Souls when your weapon used to bounce off the wall?
Yes.
Depending on like the direction.
I mean, it still does.
Or it still does.
Yeah.
In Elden Ring.
That's a feature of FromSoft games.
But of course, like enemies don't have that issue. When have you ever seen?
There's one game.
Maybe I'm wrong in this.
It was either Black Myth or it was Neo, where I did see weapons pinging off, and I noticed it.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't remember which of those two it was, but yes, because dude, nothing's worse than swinging a sword and see it bounce off the wall, and that guy over here is clipping through a wall upside down and swings a pole arm and hits you, and you're like, come on,
man. Am I a joke to you?
Weirdly enough, when we were at GDC, we were asking developers about just that. And I was like, can you do it? And he was like, we can, but the problem is the AI would then have to like, scoot forward. I was like, well, you got a stab animation. Why can't they just use stabs? And it just doesn't fit perfectly with what they had planned. So I get it, and I feel the same way. I notice it, but I'm like, that is sort of just a part of the game. Because I also would cheat the hell out of any NPC that is caught in any way, shape, or form. Or if they can attack me, many times they will attack you through a wall. So I'll go to the opposite side of the wall so they don't come around the corner, and then peek around and be like, bang, bang, and then go back. Bang, bang, and they don't come around.
I would view that as a cool mechanic, because you would understand like that the angle they're trying to hit you from is not going to work, or like, the wall's going to block it. So you could use that to your advantage.
Yeah.
You could game it out.
I don't think I want them to be super sim, though. I don't like unlimited ammo unless it's like a fantasy game. I wouldn't want it super sim, but I will say a lot of games I play where you're down to your handgun or your knife, and this guy's got somehow his M4 just doesn't need reloading, and he's on the other end of a rock, and you have to run 40 feet to get to him, and he's just basically all you just hear is gunfire just the entire time. You're like, oh man, damn it. But at the same time, we also take a lot more hits in most games than enemies do too. So they usually balance it in that way. But we'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the ammo scarcity that's, for me, that's the problem. Is that then it needs to be scarce for them as well, because resources don't feel scarce when it feels like the enemies have endless abundance of them. Then it only feels scarce for me. Then it feels like, oh, the world is clearly full of bullets and ammunition and whatever, because they can throw 700 rockets at me.
Yeah.
But,
it's a good point.
Me.
Yeah.
So here's some other ones.
Yeah.
Auto leveling is another, but in-game force romance grinds my gears. Vapor says forced flashbacks or memory triggers where the screen gets all weird and you can barely walk till it's finished. Ski with Robin Bree says StarCraft CPU players used to actually cheat and speed up on harder difficulties just to make it tough back in the day. Eternal CMO says, remember escort missions when the NPC you're escorting didn't give a fuck? They'd walk right into danger and aggro. Yeah, I played Dead Rising. I know what that's like.
Yep.
Dead Rising was fucking notorious. Baseball Gear said Brian Rafael, co-founder of Raven Software, retires after 36 years. Damn. 36 years making a game. Or making games. That's a long time doing anything.
That's going back to Soldier of Fortune, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. Gibbs blowing people. Oh, dude, I love the destruction in that game. That was so raw, man. In Skyrim survival mode, you can literally freeze to death, but the bandits are all fine, bare-chested. Hey, man, they're from the north, Maybe you're not. I'm just joking. Yeah, I've seen that before. A lot of survival games, and the mods probably don't do that, because that's a lot of CPU power. Can you imagine trying to update 60, 70 NPCs across the world with, like, heat, health damage or cold damage?
Yeah, appropriate.
I would love to be able to like force push or force shout somebody into the water and watch them freeze. That would be cool. Like, if you could make those effects.
Yeah.
I've always thought about this. How Samsung's smaller area? I've thought it would be great to have a very small area where everything you could think of, you like as a developer, not in the world, was simulated in this way. So a very small sort of like playground, and I mean it would have to be really small, but to where you could do things like what we're talking about, because the amount of CPU, GPU power, RAM, everything, you'd be pointer chasing for the rest of your life in something like that. But it would still be fun to see, you know, all those things mimicked and replicated. And even if it was just a small, do you guys remember Half-Life had the head crab level? It was the demo where you could basically, I think all you had was a crowbar, and you would open up, and then like it was just you and the head crab, and you could watch how its AI worked. I sort of am talking like that, where it'd be cool to have a little baby level and just go into like Unreal blueprints and just attach every fucking system you possibly could.
Yeah.
Sprained ankles, tiredness, you know, every weight of weapons, you know, like Die by the Sword had you controlling with your mouse this sword, and it always looked janky. Throw that in there and just see how all that would play out. I can't get forced romance out of my head. Can't stand it in a game. Feels weird. Josh Sawyer, who did Pentiment and works at Obsidian, he also pointed out the same thing that a lot of us feel, that like for the most part, romances in games, unless it's sort of about that, they usually just fall. They usually just are not great. Yeah. And he's not a big fan of putting them in the game. He just thinks that, and I would agree. I just think there's very few. And I was going to say Uncharted. It took 4 games before I bought like Nate and his wife, to where I was like this. Right. I'm not saying I didn't buy him before, but I'm saying for that romance to turn into something that was as intrinsically connective tissue-wise as him and his brother, because blood is different, right? And you know that they've been brothers since the day they were born, where him and the girl is till they meet each other.
Relationship.
Yeah, there's just that sort of family relationship there. But yeah, romance.
That's a very good example of one. Probably one of the best.
I think so too. Yeah. I would say when I got to 4, it made sense, because you know how sometimes a character, a love interest, will show up and you're like, would you please leave? Why are you here? I only met you a week ago and now you're following me around on my adventures. What the fuck? But in that one, by the time you were in 4, it all was like, I mean, she literally came and is like, gave you the ultimatum, and you know, because she adventures too, or has adventures. So it played out really well, but it took 4 fucking games. Well, if you count the PSP game or whatever, Golden Compass or Golden Triangle, or I don't know. What was that called? Does anybody remember the Uncharted Golden Urethra, whatever?
Let's see.
But it was something golden, and Golden Shower.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it took at least 5 games.
Drake's Fortune.
But this was the...
what was the second one? It was the one in the Himalayas. Then there was Among Thieves.
But those were all like one. the main line.
Right. There was one on PSP console. Or Vita, and
yeah.
Damn it, I can't remember. Anyway, I think
smaller side one.
I think it'll always be bad if it's forced. Romance can only exist if both characters are written well enough. BG3. What?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by forced. I mean, if you mean that there's, because if you mean there's already like an intrinsic relationship there, like say between in Assassin's Creed Origins, where Bayek is married to I forget her name. Aya, is that her name or something?
I don't remember her name either.
Remember. Yeah. But there's a pretty solid relationships that's already replied, and where there are romance scenes between them that are forced because they're part of a linear scripted story.
And they're fast, but still it explains what you're saying. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Golden Abyss. Thank you.
I think that works a lot better.
I do too.
Than a lot of these sort of haphazard optional romances that you get.
What about
when it's sort of built in from the start as a core part of the characterization of the characters and their relationship and their arcs?
What about Darkness? Because the guy and his girlfriend, wasn't it Darkness, where you get the superpowers and it's a super
but your girlfriend is murdered.
She's murdered. Okay, it's been so long since I just remember hearing people talk about that relationship a lot, and I couldn't remember like how that came together.
And it's basically you're kind of haunted by her ghost afterwards.
Yeah, they're hard to do, man. But they've been they've been done, but I would say that they've been done correctly and well is like less than 1% of the
Few
total
times.
times they've
Yeah.
been
I
done.
mean, I really like Jennifer in Witcher 3 because it feels like a really believable relationship in that it's borderline, it's frequently toxic and even abusive, and yet there's also like there are believable interactions there between her and Geralt.
Yeah.
That feel engaging to me and feel immersive and feel like a real, genuine relationship with a give and take, where it's not just because in video games, one of my biggest faults with a lot of the romances and frankly a lot of NPCs interactions, particularly in RPGs, is that the NPCs often tend to be extraordinarily effusive of the protagonist.
Yeah.
Oh, I worship the ground you walk on. Oh, please make every single decision for me. I have no agency on my own. You have all the agency, player.
Yeah.
You get to decide everything. That does not feel natural in any way. That does not feel like a real relationship. The other character needs to have agency. They need to have an arc of their own, an identity of their own.
Yeah.
That's
in
a good
order to
point.
make it work.
I think
And it worked well with the. Sorry.
No, go
One.
for it. What were you going to say?
The thing with the genie where they weren't sure if their love and like them
Was
staying
real?
together was due to that wish they did.
Yeah.
So they told that story in the game. That was also, I think, the main plot for The Last Wish.
Yeah, it's weird because
Yeah.
it
So-
didn't work for me at all. And I don't know why, but I also didn't care about them too much. So it wasn't that they were bad. It was
Yeah,
that
you weren't invested.
I didn't. Yeah. So it was like, I can still look at it and go, okay, I get what you get. Like I sort of, and I definitely did see the realism, though people get mad and be like, not every relationship's toxic. Agreed. But in the relationships that are, sometimes you saw some good examples of some fuckery going on where you're like, that is not necessarily, I'm not saying they need to hate each other, stab each other with swords. I'm just saying that's not necessarily the best way to do things.
Human relationship, let's put it that way. Right?
Yeah.
Did you guys did you guys like the ones in Cyberpunk? Panair and
No,
Not really.
No.
I like
I mean, I
those.
like the sex bot because that made way more sense than anything else that occurred in that fucking game. No, not at all. But I didn't hate it. But in what we're talking about, when you
Pan Am's-
consider how good they are, no. Pan Am's what?
Am's kind of made Pan Am's work a little bit when I played a one of from that background, the
Outlander
gang- or Outlander, yeah,
something like
whatever
that,
they were called. I forget. Like the tribal background or whatever it was. I think it kind of works a little bit better from that background than from any of the others. But even then, I didn't really feel great. It felt like it was there for sort of gratifying the player more than it felt like natural or story based or anything.
And I would say that let's ignore all this for a second. Just talk like Cyberpunk, where there isn't a pre-relationship, right? So in a game where there isn't a pre-relationship, I think the odds of that coming out and feeling in any way good are almost zero for me. At least for all the experiences I've had. Usually it has to be like Uncharted. It has to be a hint. This is character I met. Even something like that works. But if I just meet somebody, the one thing that Silver said, I even discussed in the walk, dude, ABBA, the sex after 3 button presses to basically get into anybody's pants. Listen, I'd live in video games if it were that fucking easy. Like, and then it matters less. Like, what I mean by that is I don't even do that because to me, I start thinking it's wasted time because there is no payoff. We've had games that give you pluses after sex. Sims, for instance.
Oh yeah, buffs.
Buffs.
Yeah.
But I would say The Sims is certainly, a game unto itself where it's sort of
Even
based on.
Bethesda games do that.
Even Bethesda games do it. Yeah. And what do you call it? Kingdom Come, right? Don't you get a buff after Kingdom Come?
Yeah,
sex?
you do.
Yeah. Kingdom Comes. Okay. Kingdom Come 2, though. We got to admit, I don't want to spoil it because it's not super old, but the relationship with the person that you think is chaste and is not, and you find out later, was one time where I laughed out loud when, like, I was, the next day coming up to her and being like, and she's like, well, other people are better than you or whatever, and being like, wait, what just happened? That just turned it completely on its side. And I thought that was awesome. But that was humor, right? It was actually pointing out that this person that you thought was a chaste maiden was the whore of Babylon. So you're like, okay, I guess. So it wasn't even about it didn't fit into my, preconceived notions, but it also didn't try to build it out either. It was just like, here's a one-liner about me banging everybody. But
I think it's also important there to draw a distinction between sex and romance, because they're not necessarily the same thing.
They're rarely the same thing. Sorry. Well, you said romance. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
Relationships,
That's
feelings. Yeah, because romance to me means a very particular thing versus relationship versus love versus lust. Yeah, there's so many different idiosyncrasies there. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
I have to ask you guys, do you have like a favorite Mass Effect from any of the games? Favorite Mass Effect relationship or like romance?
No, they're all the same to me.
Anything that stuck with you?
I think wouldn't say stuck with me, but the one I found the most believable for the situation, for Shepard and whatnot, was always Ashley.
Yeah, me too. If
for
you
like
would
male
consider it that
Shepard.
way. Yeah,
I just hated her guts, though.
I loved her. She's also one of the only ones, not to be rude, she's one of the only ones with a character arc that makes sense. Like, I know people were like talking about, I can't believe she's racist or specious. And I'm like, I can. Did you play the game? It's literally explained, like, in no uncertain terms. In fact, higher terms than 90% of the other characters that exist with you. But she is, what do you call it? It's a little bit towards the toxic, not toxic side. That's way too much.
Call her like a species. She's prejudiced.
Yeah.
She's bigoted.
Yeah. Agreed.
But she doesn't necessarily view the other races as inferior. She just views them as, because we take care and look after ourselves, they will do the same.
Yeah.
That's sort of her attitude.
She's a realist.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, yeah, she would certainly argue she's a pragmatist, for sure.
Yeah. But I was going to say real quick, Pavardi was one of the best relationships, and it wasn't romantic. I think that was well done.
Yep.
In Outer Worlds. But which reminds me of Pan Am, by the way. When I was going to say Outer Worlds back when you had originally mentioned Cyberpunk, and I wanted to get back to that and say that, that one actually worked out as a friendship slash mentor slash, and it's slower. Anything that takes a little time, I'm probably going to gravitate towards. And if it takes a little time and there's a little mystery on where it's even going, and it's not like charisma is a 10, then I'll probably buy into it more. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. And we knew this was happening because it happens every time we mention these games. I would pay money for a mod to delete MJ in Spider-Man 1.
There you go.
Straight up, man.
Yeah.
That was toxic, by the way. And I don't use toxic because I think it's just a term for other stuff that has been, for centuries. Like, it's just the new term for a specific thing. But she was toxic in the sense I didn't want to be around her, like she was a toxic chemical. She was like literally unhealthy in a toxic way for that character to be around. So I'll use it in this term because I'm not one of those type of people that's going to use that. I just, there's true terms that actually make sense.
It is crazy how they painted her in that game, like the first game at the very least. Yeah.
But maybe we're all 3D chess in it too. You 3D chess.
Quite as down on her as you guys are.
Many people aren't, but I like I said, I'm probably 3D chessing it a bit. Where if I was in it, maybe a little less of a reaction. But as looking at somebody else's game, watching them play, I was like, this should have been checkmate a long fucking time ago. You should have kicked her off the board. Like, I don't know what she's doing. In this, it's just killing me. Phantom Liberty was amazing, man. Pan Am as a companion character is great. But the romance is weak. Judy is the reverse, especially if you're a street kid, because you're both trying to escape. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I can see how the street background would work better with Judy, just like the tribal background works better with Pan Am, probably.
I'm telling you, this is the lore thing coming back. If you can buy into a tiny bit of the lore, even with their shit-ass terrible starting for that game, that should just never have been put in that game. Sorry, the stupid like little 40-second fucking, well, not 40-second, but a little beginning for each class.
The little prologue, yeah.
Dude, man, they dropped the ball. But that little bit of like what he said, where you have a certain background, it fits a little bit more, that kind of stuff. Dude, that can sell me on a lot. Like it doesn't require a ton to sell me on. I mean, that's almost like what I was saying with Uncharted 4. If you played 4 and you didn't play the others, just by understanding there was a prior thing, it works.
Just establishing
works
that.
a little bit, yeah.
But I think that was pretty weak though in the game. Establishing your traits as someone from that group, to me, didn't really work.
What game are we talking about?
Cyberpunk, in the way they try to establish your background as a street kid or whatever. It's such far in between bits and pieces that it didn't work for me.
Do you remember the odd? Listen, I can be hard on people, so I'm going to reverse what I was going to say. It is just me being a dick, so I'll reverse it. Did you see the interesting, thoughtful, and thought-provoking interview where someone discussed that the reason why in Cyberpunk you didn't do more with Jackie is because there was no reason? And what we're talking about right here makes me think that you could have actually bought me more into Jackie if there was a bit more time and not the startings that existed. I was bothered by the short shift that he got and sort of how the montage worked. Where
the montage was what bothered me sort of more as a way to sell it more.
But I want to reverse what I said, because when I first saw it, I was like, it really felt like not revisionist history, but like trying to walk around that it was just 2 mistakes didn't make a good thing, which was short and these weird startings. But if we talk about it in constructionist and again 3D chess, because I didn't make the game, I would have liked to have seen less of the 3 startings. Merge explain the lore, sell me on that, but at the same time a bit more with Jackie, and that montage that was sort of, it was not bad, but it was weird, and it was placed weird, and it was short, and it was just, that character's supposed to matter. So, but again, didn't make the game. Let's see.
I'll tell you another example of a pretty solid one from, actually, since you mentioned Josh Sawyer in Pentiment.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, because I was actually going to mention that. Yeah.
Because I had a character who's basically, I set his background up to be a bit of a charmer, and I seduced one of the nuns in the convent.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out later on, well, there are consequences.
Yeah.
To her to doing that.
I didn't do that, but I've read about some of the consequences.
That feel really affecting. And that sort of... and that helps ground the relationship and make it feel real and make it feel believable, because, my actions actually have consequences that reverberate on her life. And that's something I have to think about, and that's something I have to reflect on. And that makes it all the more compelling when that happens. And it isn't just, player fantasy or whatever.
Wouldn't you agree that maybe 3 randomly, but somewhat near the activity, 3 random small consequences of anything would probably be enough? I feel like if there was, you were talking about, you go into a place, you kill everybody, you're wearing the skins of babies of this nation, and they're like, "Hello, stranger," and you're all, dude, seriously, I rode in on a dragon. Somebody's got to notice. Like those little bits of consequence and marking you as this person who's done a particular thing.
Yeah.
So like in a relationship, a little bit of, even if it's somebody saying, even if it comes out later that you slept with them and never talked to them again, whatever, that's one. But I honestly don't think it's as hard as maybe even developers, where they want to do a ton. And I don't know if gamers require a ton, but they do require a little bit more than we're getting. And like Pentiment, if you get this, you can get a big one, or you can get some small ones. And I don't think they need to be that crazy, because I'm telling you, when I hear a character even discuss me as who I am now versus when I started the game, that's enough for me. When somebody's like, and we don't get it in a lot of games. I'm actually sort of spacing a true example, but we have seen it where like a vocal cue, a bark as they're called, where an NPC barks something. If an NPC were to bark like, "Oh my God, it's the hero of blah blah blah," you're like, that is some indication that this world is sort of seeing me outside of my better armor, or or what have you. And it's sold the same way in games where enemies retreat too, which is a big deal to me, where you see a consequence of what's going on. I loved it in Halo. It's not super detailed, but it's like when people run from you and they yell that the demon's here. It sells a history that you don't even have to show me. Like these guys are either hearing on the phone, somebody's dialing up on a Halo phone going, "This motherfucker's a demon. He just killed like 50 people." Hung up. And now the guy in front of you is running away yelling that works for me. That's all I need. I just need a little bit more consequence, because I feel like we don't get it.
I'll name one of the worst examples I can remember from Mass Effect 2, which is a game that a lot of people laud for its like relationships and whatnot. But you take Miranda as a character, right? Character who's extremely confident, extremely self-assertive. And then during her quest, she basically goes, "Oh, Shepard, I don't know what to do. I can't make this choice on my own. Please make this choice for me. Whatever you choose, it'll be whatever. Like it'll be good or whatever." And then and then you make the choice for her. That just completely goes against Miranda's character in every way, and just removes any real investment in that relationship for me.
Because it makes Miranda was a badass.
Yeah.
That
was sort of her agency was her character, sort of her independence, her assertiveness, right? Her confidence. And then to have that sort of robbed, to give it to you so that you could make those choices for her and sort of determine her morality for her, really felt sort of incongruous with her character.
Zato says hello from Spain. Hello from Spain.
Hola.
What's up? Perfect Spanish right there. I could live in Spain. They would completely understand everything I said. What else do we got for news?
I saw a rumor about how much money PlayStation made with PC releases.
With what types of releases? PC or BC?
PC.
Oh.
Yeah. So this guy, he's called Jerry Liu. He was former PC planner and insights manager at PlayStation for the years 2021 until 2023. And he was talking about basically going from $0 to $300 million from just like PC releases overall.
Seems about right.
Which is interesting, because... Right. Yeah, I mean... I guess it's like a rumor. He didn't show hard numbers or anything, but it's still cool to see and expected, right? That they were making a lot of money with that. But it then also begs the question, why are they maybe backpedaling now, saying that they might not release single player games to PC if it indeed made a lot of money?
Include overhead and cost of development?
No, because he said net revenue, so I'm assuming that wouldn't.
That is a whole... Yeah.
That's very different, right?
Yeah, even though technically gross versus net, you could say some of it's included, but you got to put in the cost of buying a port company. So you're buying you're literally buying a port company, and then you've got overhead for all those employees, and you've got all their insurances and all their blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And like true income, like true after expenses income. But if he said, no. I mean, I'm sure he's way more right than anybody else, though, which is what I was getting at the starting. Like, if anybody's going to know, he would know, at least up until 23. But here's the problem, Johnny. Let's say only one of your 5 ports did that money. Then you're in deep shit. Do you see what I'm saying? So if
you're having to pay the cost for everyone.
Well, no, it just means that there's a range there that's unacceptable for a business. You don't want to do 5 and have only one of 5 do insanely well.
So for like 5 of them, you're paying the costs, but you're not getting that much.
And were they all revenue? The Last of Us? right? We do know Death Stranding 2 did well. Like, it's done very well, which is sad because I would rather have the PC ports. But as a company, if you look at that and you've attempted 7 or 8 plus the overhead of buying a company plus blah, 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 and only 2 of those have done well, that is a horrendous hit rate. So then you have to be like, what's holding us back? Like, what's the particular issue there? Yeah, I don't know. That's 300 million. I mean, dude, I don't know what it cost to buy that company too. Like,
Yeah.
How much did Sony pay for? What was that? Was that Nixie's that they bought? Was it Nixie's?
Believe
it says not disclosed. So, I'm sure somebody's got a Nixie's net worth there. Somebody else says 2.4 billion, but they must be talking about like other things plus that, like, but anyway.
Yeah.
And then this one says, this is 2026. This says Sony's made 4.2 billion selling first-party games on PC and Xbox. This is from Tweaktown. Okay, let's go to Derek. Derek knows what he's doing. People may not love his stuff, but I've talked to Derek. He genuinely tries to at least get the thing. He says, too long didn't read. Sony's made at least 2.37 billion from selling first-party PlayStation games on PC and Xbox. New data from the company reveals Sony's latest Q3 25 results allow us to tally an interesting metric. According to this announcement and as well as their findings, Sony has made I got a pop-up. Sony's made at least 2.37 billion from selling games and content on other platforms than PlayStation, including PC and Xbox. That's total. That runs from 2022 all the way to Q3 2025. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know. We live in interesting times, man. Like, we can all second guess it, but it feels to me like they're prepping for like the movement forward and sort of identifying where they're going to be with a portable. What are you going to do? Because, do you have the port team helping you with the other games that you want to get out faster? They've got service games coming. They've got a ton of service games coming. So I think of the 14 that we knew were for sure coming, 4 or 5 were canceled, but that still leaves a shit ton still coming out. Because every company wants at least one service game making them that residual cash. So, also, can we point out something? Because this really bothers me. In no way, shape, or form does this not mean tomorrow they'll release a PC port of a game. Companies don't, that's not the way they work. And a smart company would never work that way, by the way. You wouldn't. If you saw success somewhere, you would try to see success. If you wanted to change your plans, you would change your plans. But if success was in an area that you had experience with prior and you kept seeing that there was a chance of success, you would switch when you needed to, unless you just want to go out of business like an idiot. So the idea that tomorrow they couldn't say Ghost is coming on PC is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, they don't know what their competitors are doing. If Nintendo disappeared tomorrow, Microsoft disappeared tomorrow, would they release on PC? Yeah, unless they just arbitrarily hate money and they're able to talk the entire group of people who make choices out of making extra money, which, does anybody believe that? So, like, they could switch. Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't like companies stating stuff. You and I were talking about this prior to Silver jumping in.
As if it's set in stone, right?
The 10 years for, Bungie, anytime Bungie talks, or in the past when they talked, or any company that's like, we are going to support this for 10 years, inevitably 9 years and 7 months later, they'll stop supporting it. People will be like, you lied. My God, there's still a couple months left. So why do it?
Yeah.
And
that's true.
We've seen companies be a little smarter.
I think a lot of people read too much into those like statements as well. Like I've seen people write that Death Stranding 2 is the last PlayStation game we're going to see released on PC. And there wasn't evidence to that in anything they said. They just kind of, they were pretty vague in just saying kind of, maybe the direction we're seeing right now is not so much releasing on PC, but none of it was that committal.
No, not from them, but leakers who have been right all the time were indicating that there was a massive shift going on and they were pulling all support to go back and work on their stuff. So you do have to take it into account when you look at a certain journalist or two who are, usually right on. Maybe not every time, but pretty goddamn right on, I would say.
Sure.
Maybe 95% right on. When they say stuff, you're like, all right, unless bad, leaks from that person continued for a couple years, they have enough vested, they've got some vested history on being right. So, and then some other stuff we've seen, LinkedIn and so forth, where you do see some people who work for certain companies posting resumes.
So it's enough
and saying stuff
smoke that.
Yeah. And as they said,
fire.
they sold Bluepoint, and they also removed now the PC stuff on multiple websites. So, like, obviously, when there's smoke, there's fire at some point, right?
Exactly.
At some point, you're like, and by the way, it doesn't have to be a big fire, right? I think people assume when there's smoke, there's an inferno. That is not true. It could just be that there's a restructuring. But guys, games changing, man. It's like back in the day when you'd hear a company be like, we'd never do mobile. And you're like, oh, okay. And now mobile's a great way to make money. It's a super smart way to make money. And we're seeing better mobile games coming out.
For a long time.
And it has been for a long time. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember Pete Molyneux saying like 10 years ago that he reached more people with a mobile game than like 100 times more people than any of his other games combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've had a couple developers on who have, you can go back and look at some of these, and then some people that are, I would say, friends of mine or people that I've got to meet a couple times in real life. And one of the first things they'll mention is what Peter stated, which is that, so one of them said one single mobile game, I guess you would say, that they worked on made more money than the combined 25-year history of them making normal games.
Right.
So there's something to be said towards being eclectic and flexible, and that includes pulling people back to finish your service games and then putting them back to do a PC title if that also behooves you. But you might want to pull everybody to sort of circle your wagons and get prepared for your big. I don't know why it's like surprising, but when you look at it, to me, it's like, dude, that's business, especially now in an ever-changing market when one of your competitors dumped one thing, came back up a different, you know what I mean? We're seeing some huge changes. So like, it makes sense, man. You got to be flexible. You got to change stuff. And you don't need to worry too much about the public perception either. What I mean by that is you do, because it's the world. But I'm saying with your business decisions, I think it's okay for a company to be like, we are doing this thing
to reverse or whatever.
Reverse, and then let the free market decide if that was worth it. Ultimately, doesn't it come to that? It's like, was it worth it? Was it not? I mean, I may still like a classic game that doesn't sell well, but I mean, ultimately, a business is all about sales. I mean, I think we all are.
Yeah.
Technically, at some point.
Certainly publicly traded ones,
And that too, yeah. Let's see. Essentially, on PC or Steam or future box, you can get access to all games, and PlayStation only has PlayStation. So, interestingly enough, I did see a theory that was it is right, but being right doesn't mean it's the entire business plan of somebody. However, PlayStation does have to look down the barrel of a situation that has never occurred before, which is that on the next release, the console will be playing all games, including Steam games, which would include any Sony games that they put on Steam. Now, whether you like that or don't like it, that could affect you, especially if you are not making any money from those games, or you're still making money, sorry, but you're losing money because those games are on a store or somewhere else that plays on a competitor device, which then pulls a little bit of your crowd, which may find something else on that competitor device that they want to play. And Sony is a console. They still make console decisions. They're probably the only one other than, I mean, Nintendo does. Nintendo's a weird, they do their own thing. And some decisions are based on their weird delivery, which is portable / house device. But it feels like Sony in particular is very still Japanese in their sort of egotistical.
Yeah.
and like in traditional at times where they're like, we're going to do this. And we're probably
They're very
better
conservative.
for it. Yeah. And we're probably better for it, to be honest, where like a company sort of takes a chance, but the other two don't leap. And if it works, then maybe they alter. And if it doesn't work, then they're not the ones who foot the bill to just instantly be the same as everybody else. I mean, look at Nintendo. If we had all sat here, I just don't feel like any of us could have guessed that they were going to have a device prior to the rumors that did both. That you docked, and that, especially back then when mobile devices weren't super powerful and there were all kinds of issues with the APUs and stuff like that, and that NVIDIA in particular.
It was a pretty wild idea.
Yeah. Well, dude, it was wild for
And it
them
wasn't
to go
like
with
the
NVIDIA.
Wii U tablet had been a huge success either.
Yeah, and it wasn't like the Wii U tablet had shown the proper drive forward. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Poor Wii U, man. That one guy who bought one. Sorry, bro.
That was me. Yeah.
Did you own a Wii U?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it fine.
Liked it fine.
There were some decent enough games for it, yeah.
Okay. Who here has owned a Nintendo VR? The original. The red and black. Oof. Yeah, dude. I'm telling you.
I don't think it was ever. I've never seen it available here.
Oh, so it wasn't available there? Available. You know why? Because you guys have laws against fucking consumer like abuse. Because, dude, that thing actively.
But I didn't know about it, and I did see it.
Actively bad. It was like the only device I've ever seen that made your life worse when you owned it. Yeah, dude, it was terrible, man. Let's see.
You didn't like the red filter?
Oh, dude, made me. It was the headache. What a weird device, man. I remember the Labo when they're like, you build it yourself and you can play our games. I mean, Nintendo's definitely tried their shit, and kudos to them.
That was brave.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? Nothing directly in there. What do we got for news? Any other news? Any other cool, amazing shit?
I think that's all from my side.
And we didn't put a question thing up because I'm going to be honest, we didn't think there'd be much to talk about. And we are now 3 hours and 3 minutes in, which is why I didn't worry too much. I told Silver, I was like, there isn't much to talk about, but if you want to come on, because I was like, we're going to figure something to talk about. That's just us. Do we got anything cool? Yep. Anything amazing? Anybody in chat? Do you have anything amazing going on in your lives? Whether that be games, life, successes. You got your diploma, got your doctorate, something like super, super engaging. I haven't done anything successful in the last like 6 months. I was thinking about that a couple days ago. I mean, I still take the masterclasses and stuff, but I need a new project.
I've been doing those too. Yeah, those are great.
Masterclasses?
Masterclasses.
They're so primo. Mm-hmm. And I feel good about paying because it makes me do them. So if they were free, if they were like online, I'd be like, whatever, I'll get to it. But yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I love them.
Same dude.
Let's see what amazing shit has been going on. Like lately, it's been gamer centric. There hasn't even been like major shit going on in my life.
Yeah, I've been reading quite a bit. So that book I talked to you about, it's very cool. It's called There Is No Antimemetics Division.
Yeah, the SCP
Bit of a
one.
weird name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if people look it up, it's very interesting, very cool kind of mystery with some horror in there, with these creatures that basically have the ability to like seep your the information from your brain. So in a way, their power is that you can't ever remember having
encountered them. Yeah.
Encounter them. Like you can't, take a picture because it will degrade. Like if you try to write it down, it won't work, all this type of stuff. And it's so trippy when you're reading this and seeing like as people are going through that, and then like it's kind of, I don't want to reveal too much because a lot of it is really what the book is about, is it, experiencing those things. Really cool.
Really cool book.
Yeah. Like
I'm listening
weird sci-fi adjacent.
Jessica Chastain's Audible, which is called, because I can't remember off the top of my head. She just did season 2. It's X-Files style.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That looks cool.
Second Life? No, it's not that. What's it? Something second. Split second. Second son. Second. Yeah, fuck. Let me look. But very good. little. It started out, I would say, you could say slowly, but I wouldn't say that. I would just say it starts out with a lot of world building, but man, it is good. So good. Dude, I hate Audible.
It's the space within.
Thank you. I hate Audible, man. It doesn't ever show the shit I bought. Now I have to, I'm just.
Yeah, they're terrible with that, man.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? So I asked everybody what they were doing. I got, this is name invalid. He says, I have a Wii U still in the box. All right. That's one thing. Let's see. Division 2, new content. Dan says, liking the podcast. Lewiston says eating pomegranates. He says pomegranates, but I think he meant pomegranates. They're good. I love pomegranates. Any type of like vegetable or fruit that's a puzzle and looks like a murder scene after you're done, I like. Dan also says, I got a date for my double ankle fusion operation. So you're fusing your ankles together? Doesn't make like running hard? Feels like it would make running hard. But I know what he's doing. He's getting his, I get it. People are going to be like, no, he's just fusing his ankles. I get it.
I finally got around to reading Paris in the 20th century. Don't know if anyone's familiar with it. It's a manuscript by the French science fiction writer Jules Verne that wasn't published until 1990 because his publisher, he wrote it in 1860, but his publisher wouldn't publish it because it was too depressing. But basically, it's kind of a really, it was written in 1860, and it's kind of a really, really eerie prediction, as a lot of Verne's books are, about future society, where he paints a picture of a society that's entirely dedicated to industry, work, and production, where cars and such are a thing, like vehicles, and where arts and whatnot aren't really valued at all. It's all geared towards production, and eventually society sort of succumbs to climate disasters as a result of like resource extraction.
Wow.
It's it's very Verne, and that his premonitions are really, really kind of eerie. And it's a book that's sort of been on my back burner for a very long time, but I finally got around to reading it.
Not the one about going to like the core of the earth.
No, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Journey to the Center.
Yeah, sadly that hasn't come to pass.
Flynn Boyd.
Awesome
no, we haven't found dinosaurs in the below the ground yet. Yeah.
They're there though.
Valley of Dinosaurs yet.
They're there. Let's see. We got moving to Texas in about a month from Cali. Flynn says we sent people to the moon. Eternal says congratulations to Fusion Man. Bep says playing Bloodborne, not as good as I remember. Bep also says the Ryan Gosling sci-fi movie looks fun. The book was good. Dan says I just read Butter, Japanese book, dark humor, very funny and dark and very Japanesey. Robert says go into the Grand Prix in 2 weeks over in Long Beach. That's fucking awesome. Ooh, Strevin, $5 super chat. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for the recent chat, Carrick. Oh yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Yeah, we had a blast, man. He came in, we sat down and talked about life and stuff like that, and that was a very good time. Always like those late night chat. Well, it's late night somewhere all the time. It's a round earth. It's not flat. You fucking
never
weirdos.
know.
Yeah. Well, just in case somebody's like, flat earther. Let's see. On each ankle. Yeah, Dan, I was teasing. I'm sure somebody thought I really meant that. Robert says, can't wait to see some drifting, some truck racing, fast cars racing one another in downtown Long Beach. Eternal says Ryan Gosling wasn't kidding about it being a tearjerker.
Okay.
Haven't seen it yet. I did like The Martian. It's a sequel from that guy. He knows what he's doing. So looks a little cliched to me, like typical mascot movie, but I'll watch it.
Oh, same author from the book?
Weir.
Okay.
Yeah. Weir, I think is his name. Let's see. What else do we got before we wrap it up? Not much. So let me talk about coverage. So Samsung's preview went out, and then we've got a bunch of games. Most of them I have code for already for review. So if you've heard me talk about them, I probably have code for them. Then we have some previews for some games that are coming up, but I think those are NDA'd. Reviews. Soros I want to review. Bad. And then next month, I haven't looked at next month, now that I think about it.
Pragmata, maybe?
Pragmata is this month, I believe.
It's sheesh, I'll have to check.
Isn't it May? Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Also,
17th of April.
Oh, April. Okay. And you'll see some other stuff. I'm getting back on Substack to write some articles. Those are a little bit more difficult just because I have to reshift my brain away from like doing the YouTube stuff. So you should see some stuff from me there. I also want to say thanks to people who joined the Patreon. It is appreciated, and it's nice to talk to some new people because these old people suck. Having to talk to Johnny every day, it's like, oh my God.
Fuck that guy, man.
Fuck that guy.
God damn it.
Oh, Replaced is also this month. Yeah, Replaced is this month too. Dude, it feels like Replaced. It feels like we were just zygotes, just little embryos, little sperm swimming around when that game was first shown. It's been a long time. So be nice. You know, hopefully it does really well. And hopefully it's good, I should say. But it does feel like we've been talking about that game forever. Yeah, and Starfield DLC, which looks pretty sweet, man. I got to figure out my save game situation. I don't know.
Oh, because of the mods?
Yeah, yeah. I may move it to like I don't know how I'm going to handle it, actually. I'm a little nervous about it. Because I want to jump in, you know, and play, but I don't want 2,200 hours or whatever of game to be kiboshed in one fell swoop. And that's how mods work. Hey, listen, Bethesda's they don't give a fuck. And they shouldn't, by the way, in no way, shape, or form. If I was them, I'd be like, yeah, you're making mods and that's great and everything. But when we patch our game, be prepped because we don't know every mod that's out there. That's I'm gonna write over that like pavement, man. I'm just gonna be, but I am preparing for it, trying to figure out exactly how to do it. What else do we got? I think that's about it. It's been a nice week. Yeah, it's been calm, relaxing. We're gonna do some more streams. We've been having huge number of streams, man. Everybody's playing something different. For the first day or so, it's Crimson Desert. A lot of people dropped off on that, which I get, but like a lot of people dropped off on that and went to Requiem, which was crazy. I've now seen 7 people beat Requiem from start to finish in the chat. Like that one became really popular. And then Life is Strange Reunion. I've been seeing multiple people stream that. And back to Division 2, which is the game that keeps on giving. Every day I feel like there's new like DLC for that and seeing a shit ton of people play that. Do you know what I've never seen in our chat, guys? Not a single time.
League of Legends.
No, I've seen League of Legends. I've seen that. I've seen that because I remember because it hurt. It hurt me. I've never seen Roblox because I've seen Fortnite.
Yeah. I've seen Minecraft.
Yes, Jay Reaper streamed Minecraft less than maybe 2 or 3 months ago. He came in and he was streaming Minecraft. Yeah, so I think one time. But a couple days ago, I was trying to like think of the big games like a Minecraft and what we haven't seen in there. And yeah, I've never seen.
I haven't seen a lot of Fortnite either, but I haven't also.
I only saw it one time. Dino Soar. He was streaming, and his kid. I think he was either testing it for his kid, like to verify, parental stuff. But then he got in there, dude. And it got its
and then he got called the
him.
bug or whatever.
Yes, and if he's listening or if he listens later and he tries to pretend that did not happen, which I don't think Dino would ever do that. He's very like he would. I don't think he would ever do. He's very pro. If he likes something, he likes something. But he was like at a rave or one of the dance clubs in that game, and there was a bunch of, and all of a sudden he was, he's like, damn, this isn't bad, and he was exploring everything, and I was like, dude, that's how they get you. That's how they get you every single time. The Discord has the best Path of Exile streams in the Northern Hemisphere, 100%. I would agree, Lucitan. It doesn't matter if you're the only one, right? It's still the best one. Yeah, he was streaming.
I love it when he's going in. He's like fully muted. He's like muting everybody else.
Dude.
But he's there.
Dude, the best part is when occasionally he'll post and be like, hey, guys, I'll be streaming Path of Exile or whatever in chat. So I'll go in and he'll be muted and mic'd. I'll be muted and mic'd. It's like, hey, everybody, I'm going to be at a party tonight at 5 in a room closed off.
No
one
communication,
can get into. Yeah, every time. Today, he was playing Diablo. All right, maybe he was playing Path of Exile. He was talking today. But I will admit that happens all the time, and we all do. You know, you go in and I try to listen, but sometimes you're doing other stuff and I'll be watching. You put up, but there's been times where like 15 people have been in chat and I've done the hover and it's like a good 50% are muted and mic'd, and I'll pop in. You start talking, they unmic, but for the most part, it is funny when somebody's like, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to be here 8 o'clock. Come see me." And then they lock themselves in a room and you're like, well, I can hear you somewhat, but yeah. He does like himself some Path of Exile too. Damn. Like, I don't know, man. Also, they're hard on Discord to stream.
The spreadsheet and the loot. Yeah.
Yeah. They're hard on Discord to stream because of the encoder. Like I told him today, he was playing whatever he was playing today, and it was just a smear because Discord's encoder isn't great at like motion. So I usually zoom it out or make the screen really small and it looks fine. I'll just be like, okay, I'll make that screen small. Okay, now I can tell what's going on, because otherwise it looks a little bit like some cottage cheese splattered on the screen. Yeah, that's been a blast, man. That's been hilarious. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate all the new people coming in and supporting the channel and supporting these guys, jumping into chats. It's always fun to talk to you guys. We're going to get going so we can all, in all honesty, probably jump into chat. But we're going to get going so that we can enjoy our weekend. I hope you guys enjoy yours. If you get a chance, check out Johnny Plays Live. You're streaming what tomorrow?
Tomorrow, unknown. We've been playing in my community this game called RV There Yet, which you're driving a shitty RV and you have to make it through like these kind of challenging roads and stuff. And it's a co-op game. You're kind of patching the road, patching the RV to try to make it through. So we might do another session of that tomorrow. Yeah.
Kudos also to Roadcraft, man. They just released 2 massive changes. It was 2 large maps and then some massive changes to like some of the stuff you can do in the game. Yeah. Dude, again, old games pulling me back, because that game is weirdly
SnowRunner
addictive.
also released a new DLC.
SnowRunner's on like season 680 or something. Yeah. Right now. Anyway, that'll be it for us, everybody. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Let's see if YouTube allows me. Oh, it allowed me that time. Man, YouTube doesn't like this stream.
Yeah, thanks, YouTube.